I don't have power. Andrea's our chair, but I'm the vice chair. And since Andrea, in her absence, I will call the meeting to order. The budget meeting at 5 p.m., 5:03 p.m. Do we do our, oh, good. Come in. We have a seat for you. You are no longer Andrea.
Did I need this form?
Doesn't you just want to do, if you want to do public comment on our regular board meeting.
So.
Oh, yeah, but for the budget, we got your stuff here.
Perfect, thank
Yeah.
Mary, we'll do the rest of the, like the normal opener, we'll do at 6 after
Okay,
this, yeah.
perfect.
Or whenever.
All right, yay. Take it away, Darren.
Well, so we need to elect a budget committee chair. So you are all part of the budget committee. So if any of you want to volunteer someone to be the chair, speak first and, get out of the way yourself.
I nominate Will.
Will, are you willing to be the chair?
I hardly feel qualified to be the chair, but if anyone would like to help me with my duties, then I'd be happy to be the chair. Otherwise, maybe I should refrain.
It's not too tough. You
It's
just
not
say,
tough. I think you can do it.
Okay,
We'll help
fine,
you get
okay.
it.
you just say, Jaren, take it away.
I accept it then.
And then at the end, you just say, we'll do the action on it at that time. All right, so
Support you through that.
I sent this out to you. Hopefully you reviewed it. I'll skim. What?
Do they have to vote on Will?
Oh, yes, since you need to elect. So all those, and let's see, is there a second? I suppose we need a second.
I'll second it.
Second.
Yep.
So, motion by Mariah, second by
Or
Julie.
Well, motion by
Oh.
Mariah, seconded by
Oh,
Julie.
motion by, okay,
Yes.
there you go.
And then all those in favor?
And you vote?
Yes.
Because you're on here. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody opposed?
Mizu?
I say aye.
Unanimous. Now take it away, Jaren.
Will, is it okay if I take it away since you're the chair?
Please do. The chair says aye. Call the meeting to order.
Okay, let's hit the superintendent's budget message.
Oh, sorry.
She wasn't ready. So, I'll tell you my little budget summary that you hopefully read. Did you all read through all of this exciting document? So my little summary on here, I don't change a whole lot from year to year on it. We base it on the state school fund and the classified bargaining agreements, and I tend to budget on a worst case scenario, and that worst case right now has us spending $450,000 in our savings. So that's my budget summary.
Mine's longer.
Yeah.
And full disclosure, mine's not included in there yet, is it?
No,
Not yet.
because I didn't want them to read it
Beforehand, Jaren was being nice, correct, but the honest, there's a lot of uncertainty out there right now, and I had off the record yesterday, which is where we get updates on financial and legislative things, and so this was written following that, or a lot of it was already written, but updated following that. So I'll read through, and then this actual copy will be included in the final draft of this. It exists, and I'm happy to share the written version to anybody as well. So, Mapleton School District is working to build a model rural community school that provides a supportive and safe learning environment where all students are encouraged and empowered to reach their academic and personal potential. This budget includes the allocation of financial resources based on the current Governor and Ways and Means Committee's proposed state school fund of $11.35 billion for the 25-27 biennium. Changes at the federal level and a significant downturn in Oregon's June economic and revenue forecast leave many uncertainties in budgeting for this cycle. Currently, in partnership with districts and organizations across the state, we are advocating to the legislature for this amount to increase to 11.417 from 11.35 billion and more specifically for funding core services like the student investment account, high school success, early intervention, early childhood special education, and regional inclusive services at current service levels. Mapleton School District receives federal funding through Title I, Small Rural School Achievement, IDEA, special education, and federal nutrition service programs. While we expect some shifts to these programs, we are funded at small enough levels for each of those that we do not anticipate significant impacts. We also benefit from already allocated competitive grants such as Europe, 21st Century Community Learning Centers, and Stronger Connections funding. We are planning to continue receiving most of this funding, however, are building contingency plans as potential pauses or cuts are possible. Our enrollment remains steady throughout last year and this year. As of today, 151 pre-K through 12th grade students. Our aim is still to serve 200 students with hands-on, student-centered, community-connected learning opportunities. The trend of small K-2 groups continues, and it is important that we consider this in our future planning. Related, we have concentrated need, we have concentrated need, high needs for support at this level. Together with free preschool, which is funded through Preschool Promise, and increased capacity for early childhood intervention and family resource connections, we aim to increase success and decrease costs for our students across their K-12 experience. If we intervene early, hopefully we reduce those long-term costs. At the middle school, high school level, we have leveraged Europe funding and our United Way Community Transformation Grant with new opportunities for food systems and resilience funding to upgrade facilities, our library, college and career center, food production garden, and working towards a community kitchen in the middle school. Our focus on community-connected project-based learning that positions students alongside adults to lead community vitalization efforts has led to related funding through Rivers Foundation, educational and sensory gardens gave us money for educational and sensory gardens at the elementary, nutrition services funding for localizing purchasing, Lane Education Foundation funding to support community dinners, and more. Similarly, we are leveraging partnerships to support student health and mental health to provide counseling services for students as well as staff, families, and community members. This summer, we will be training 3 of our staff members to become community health workers in order to build the services that they are already providing through Medicare. The proposed budget demonstrates our commitment towards developing graduates who are dynamic communicators, thinkers, innovators, and advocates. Partnerships are key to the academic supports and wraparound services that we provide to students and families. I'm going to name a whole lot of partners really quick. Sayusla Watershed Council, Sayusla Vision, Peace Health, the Confederated Tribes of Kusla, Umpqua, and Sayusla Indians, and the Western Lane County Boys and Girls Club, Mapleton Food Share, Sayusla Outreach Services, Food Backpacks for Kids, and OSU Extension, as well as county partners including Lane Arts Council, 15th Night, CASA Lane County, Lane Education Service District, Lane County Public Health, Connected Lane County, Ophelia's Place, Catholic Services of Lane County, Looking Glass, Hoots and Whitebird, and Courageous Kids support our efforts towards farm-to-table programming that centers students in addressing local food insecurity challenges, increased access to healthcare and mental health supports for students and families, regular opportunities for extracurricular enrichment activities that meet the interests and needs of our students and community. Much of this work is supported by the time and talents of community members in Mapleton and our upriver community. Thanks to a history of fiscal responsibility in Mapleton School District, we maintain a healthy ending fund balance that will help us weather economic uncertainties While we will use some of our reserves, especially to address capital improvements over time, we maintain a strong commitment to seeking grant funding and partnerships that promote innovation and improvement. And then just in closure, I'm grateful for the commitment of our Mapleton School Board, our budget committee members, and our budget committee members for their dedication to ensuring visionary and responsible funding. A huge thanks to our business manager, Jaren Ricks, for turning all of the information to tables and budget codes and balance numbers, and helping to make it make sense as we move through the whole school year. So taking it from this meeting to reality. Thank you to our students and families who believe in the power and potential of community-connected learning, and thank you to every single staff member who works collaboratively to turn the dollars in this budget into the magic of building an incredible school district. I am proud to be part of this amazing community. Sue.
Any questions for Sue? Basically, we're doing lots of things, thanks to lots of grants. All right. I'm gonna share my screen with. Okay, I'm on page 19. I'm just gonna hit a couple of these graphs and a couple of these summaries real quick. If, assuming, I know you all looked through this, did anyone have any questions on anything? Okay, so just a couple basic summaries. Page 19, beautiful graph. Most of our money is general fund. We got bid in special revenue fund, but 69% of the budget is general fund.
That actually might be a different page. Hold on. You see 16.
Page 19.
It's page 15.
Oh,
The one you have on the screen is page
Yeah.
15.
Yeah,
Yes.
there we go, thanks.
I had it right there and then I was gonna jump to
Ready
page
for
19.
19.
Okay, yes. So next, page 19. Most of our money, 54% goes towards instruction. Large portion, 23% towards maintenance and transportation. 410,000 of our state school fund is based on transportation. Well, portion of that's based on depreciation of our vehicles, the buses and stuff. So, majority of our money going towards the instruction costs there. Jumping to 21. So, this has proposed, approved, and adopted, but so this is kind of summarizing, lumping things in from the general fund. So 2025 budget, 2.5 million towards instructional. The 2026 proposed 2.6 million towards that. Most of this budget is kind of keeping the status quo from the previous budget. A little bit of increase because we have COLA, cost of living adjustments for staff based on the based on our agreements, and increase to health insurance and adjustments based on what I'm seeing, how many people are taking health insurance and other insurance costs, but most of it I didn't change a whole lot of in reality. So the support services, 1.9 million versus 2 million this year. Transfers, a little more in transfers, just planned shortfalls on probably food service. Moving to the next pretty graph, page 23. Most of our money goes into salaries, 50%. 29% is associated payroll costs, so you're looking at 80% of our money about going towards people. So, just to give you an idea. And then it continues into the graphs on the next page. Once again, salaries, 1.9 million this year, and we're looking at 2 million in salaries for the updated. And then associated payroll costs just a little more. Purchased services went down a little bit. We aren't using as much in that, and increased the supplies budget a little bit, and most of the other stuff pretty similar. The reserved for next year, the 821, that's right near the bottom, 820 reserved for next year. So the 2024 actual, so last year's actual amount was 2.2 million. I budgeted this year at about 1.2 million to have as a final amount. We'll end up with more than that through sound fiscal policies and grants and stuff. But so shooting for a 1.3 million ending balance, so we'll see where we end up. We'll see that again in a little bit. Any questions so far? All right. Just to note it, page 28, our bond. We have 3.3 million in outstanding debt still. Doesn't fully mature until 2041. We pay some every year towards that, so. All right. So people online can follow along here a little bit. So, page 30, our general fund revenues. A little more in state school fund than we had last year, so that's an increase. Other local revenue, I put a little increase in our ESD, a portion of that's money we get from Lane ESD. So just about $300,000 more to play with this year. And then it gets into our expenses. Like I said, nothing, I didn't change up a whole lot. Added a little bit there to salaries. The amount for insurance is up a little bit. We have more people on insurance, and insurance costs are always rising. Secondary, so elementary is our elementary side, not counting preschool, and secondary is costs over here. Once again, similar, bit more money in insurance. Increased the supplies budgets on both of them a little bit, and dues and fees because I don't know how much our accreditation is costing and stuff, and I added, based on other dues and fees that we were paying for some other things added on there. Questions?
Yeah, so
Yep.
for your, for the elementary K through 6.
Yep.
Are you not having any classified stuff?
They tend to get coded elsewhere,
Okay.
and it's only, typically they go towards grants, and it's just any extra that I need to code that doesn't squeeze into the grants, then I'll code them into there at the end of the year.
So that's then done differently than it is for the,
Yeah, especially like, our title funding and what else do we pay out of?
Sped,
Yeah.
but our SRSA grant and the,
That's the hard thing of reading it fund by fund is they're in a different fund.
Okay.
But especially at elementary, title is where we're putting that money towards those services.
Okay.
What's the difference in people, I guess, between the elementary K through 6 versus the secondary 7 through 12? Like, what's the difference in the people, number of people?
there's more classified staff over at the elementary, more EAs.
So we have three classified staff here and 8, somewhere near, and some are like in special education specifically, and some are like title service kind of thing, but 3 classified staff here and I think 8, at least I have to tell myself not to count preschool, and then we have preschool as well. And then certified we have 8 and 6, but we share a couple too, right? A couple, like art
Back and
is
forth.
K-12, yeah, and so
Okay.
this year, 4 of our certified staff over here are doing at least one section of elementary, like with elementary students. Sometimes that's specials, arts across the board, our social studies teacher over here teaches 6th grade ELA, so there's just a little bit of sharing.
There's a
back and forth.
crossover.
Yeah.
I just wondered what the difference was because like if you look at the insurance, there's a large difference in amounts for insurance. And so I'm like, I just assumed it was because the body count
Number of people.
is higher for the secondary than the,
Just more married people over here.
oh, I get it, okay. That makes more
Yeah.
sense now.
It's funny because it does come down to those kind of individual things, yeah. More of us are married, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and kids, yeah.
So. Any other questions on those?
Are we planning for the unemployment
Yes.
situation for the summer again?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have it in my category, so.
Okay. Just haven't seen it yet and
Yeah.
I just, okay.
A little bit of a change. Did I pull all of it? I think I pulled all the extracurriculars. These 2, middle school extracurricular, secondary extracurricular.
On page 32, bottom of 32.
32, what do I have here?
So, yeah.
No, I rolled it all into athletics and extracurricular. We'll see it in a minute, but, so those have moved a little bit.
So there's no summer school this year
We were,
or summer
So-
enrichment?
There is, but it's grant-based. And in 2023, we paid for it out of our own funds for some staffing to do that.
So what is it going to be called? Enrichment or summer school?
We don't know yet.
so yeah, so the legislature just approved that not long ago, within the last month. Feel about right. And
2
then
weeks.
ODE pushed it out. We ended up with 30,000, which is less than prior years. Is that true? Yeah, less than,
Okay.
pretty close. And so now we're figuring out what that model's gonna be with that money. So in terms of what it is, and then are you asking like what it's gonna be called in here or in reality what it's gonna be called?
Either way.
Yeah,
And
It's
here
also
they're,
going to shorten it then, if it's only
Significantly, yeah,
30,000, because that's,
yeah.
yeah.
So
huge.
we're kind of playing with what's available, and just to name, this has been a very hard year for staff in terms of life. Like, I just wanna name like illness, family, just a lot of things. We've had a lot of longer term leaves. So we're trying to figure out how to do a summer school model that doesn't overtax. But the people that normally do it, I checked in and said, I'm feeling like we need to rest, and they were like, yes. So we're going to have a model. It will not look like the model of the last couple years, which was about 2.5 weeks of kind of an intensive 2.5 weeks for elementary. We actually haven't offered anything for middle school and high school in the last couple of years. Just to share, currently we are partnering with the Watershed Council for hosting the week-long summer program, and like push that out in a way that we're just trying to get more Mapleton kids in than Savesla kids, but, or at least more than we have in the past, I'll just speak for us. And then I'm working on a partnership for pre-K through 3rd grade for a reading literacy focused 2-week before in-service, so like coming back to school. It's a little dependent on this organization who runs a good program getting their funding, but we've been told we think that they're pretty certain that's happening. And so that program, it's called, I think it's called Genesis Reading, is supports some schools in Eugene so far, but they're gonna extend out to support Crow and us is the plan. But I can't announce that until a little bit later. And then the farmers markets are gonna start July 3rd and be on Thursdays every week. And so what we're kind of talking about is a model where Thursdays are busy on campus and there's programming, and then a way to support activities through the rest of the week. And so maybe a longer, like through summer, because usually we've just been done in June and then nothing else. But something that kind of goes through the summer, but more in a 1-day-a-week model. And that could be for high schoolers who need credit. We're gonna connect a lot of the enrichment stuff to the garden and farmers market and look at some maybe entrepreneurship / gardening endeavors. And then there has to be a literacy focus all through that because of the money. And so we're trying to get creative on what that actually looks like. So stay tuned. We're working on it. So, but great question, and yeah, lots to figure out, and it's coming fast. So.
And the legislature is giving money for it, but they also raised the requirements a bunch for it, what we have to do and stuff. So didn't give us really as much money and expect more.
More paperwork or more other kind of qualifications?
Both.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was waiting for him to say both. But I know the requirements for, especially the literacy focus, which, is great. And I just don't want to find out in midway through May. What I will say is they approved it in a way that we don't think we have to wait year to year now. Now there's a model and they're going to keep working to add money to it, versus having to wait for legislature to approve funding each year. So it should get a little better. Fingers crossed.
And like she said, staffing for it, and as Mary mentioned, the unemployment, for those that don't know, our EAs and our, bus drivers, our EAs, basically all our classified staff except our janitors, can get unemployment all through the summer and stuff. They used to not, and last year they changed it and they can now, and so even if we offer them work, most districts found that it didn't matter if you offered them work, they can take unemployment through the summer.
And all school districts
Yeah.
that do that,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, there's some legislation moving right now that even extends that
Yeah.
to more than just classified staff, but it was hard to, that, on the legislative update yesterday, you can tell where that was gonna go. But yeah, there's, that's a cost, and just, we talked about this last year, some, like, we all want people to make more and make a living wage, but it's an added cost for us to offer summer school and unemployment, and the way that it's been done is, even if you're offered it, you can still qualify on the other side,
Yeah.
so.
So,
Just to shout out our staff though, they showed up for summer school last year. This year it's more like, it's been a hard year for almost every staff member has had something big in their life, and so sometimes we just need to prioritize health and wellness of staff.
so, okay. Any other questions?
So you said that unemployment is coming out at a different place?
Yep.
You have it set in here somewhere? Okay.
Because it was, yeah, unfunded mandate, so they make it so we have to do it, but they didn't give us any money for it. So it just helps go towards our decreasing savings account. So I'm skipping extracurricular for the moment, special education.
33.
that- Yeah, page, keep them up on that page we're on, yeah. So this is where you see quite a bit of the classified salaries, and once again, a lot of them working over at the elementary, a couple of them over here. And bit of certified. The kind of big one here is drop in the student services. We did have an interpreter, and it was more than 80,000 that I had budgeted last year, but we don't have them, and so I'm not having as much in there. That's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or 30.
Is, yeah.
4:30 would be fine.
So we're seeing decrease overall because of that, because interpreter services was $100,000 for, just for that. And we keep some allocated in there in case we have something like that come up, or if we need to send a student to life skills or do something, so that's kind of a worst case scenario. Hope there is that student services. A little bit in Alta Education, that's for high school online classes. This is where one thing changed in my budgeting. I moved, instead of having all the athletics and the extracurriculars broken out into subcategories, kind of like we used to when I first started. We had, in secondary ed, we had math and English and stuff, and kind of a pain to they're all secondary and they all do lots of different things. And the line item, the grand total for middle school volleyball, as you can see there, was $2,500 for the year. That's a quarter of the
34.
line, yeah, on page 34.
So that's all into.
That's a quarter of the high school's supply budgets, and so I don't see much point in breaking it out into all these sports when we just say, and this year we didn't have high school football, so that line item just sat there, and so I'm just lumping it all into athletics and extracurricular.
Jen, you started that last year, right? Because you have 24 actuals, so last year was the first time you did that, but those lines will keep showing into.
One more year, yeah, next year it'll all the sports will be done. Any questions on that?
Back to the special education, why is there such a huge, like, jump on the, I'm assuming that means non-instruction professional services?
From the 240 to 9449?
Yeah, and then nothing budgeted.
Depends on how I code things sometimes. And if we, not sure, it might be, that might have been training that we had, or buying, not sure, it might have been buying testing that we have for some students and stuff. And so it's not something that tend to anticipate having. And so, you know, and I might code it, depending on what it is, it might get coded into the student services, you know. Non-instructional professional services versus student services. Some of these codes depends on which one I see first when typing the computer, when I'm writing the check and stuff. And so it's, yeah.
I'm trying to think if there was anything, because that would have been 24 last year.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there was any context that I can think of that would have been that one, but it's not coming to mind, like different from this year, or even the year before.
Well, you had different students too who
Yeah.
required different things.
Yes, and that's the other.
That's what I was thinking through in my head is, would there have been something for a, you know, like the interpreter is very specific to a kid, to a
Right.
certain kid.
Right.
But if you had a certain interpreter who had to be gone, then it could go into one of those.
Yeah.
That would
Yeah.
have been taken out of it.
And our school psych started last year, and so I don't know if I paid for some stuff for him and coded it to that.
Yeah, new materials,
Okay.
yeah.
Do we still have the school site?
Yeah, Miles,
So,
yeah.
yeah, kind of a multi-role, like in big districts, they only do evaluation, but the school site allows a lot of different pieces. So he does evaluation, he does our case management for special education, and then meets with students on a lot of emotional behavioral support areas, and then we branch that out to other people as well. So
Special ed, yeah.
the full
The class
barrage of
size.
school psych services.
So is that why the student services dropped significantly from last year to this year is because of needs of the students? We have less,
No, I mean, the drop there is based on that interpreter services, really.
that's no longer needed?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a specific kid that needed interpretive
yeah.
services.
Okay.
And so just,
Isn't
yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
So yeah, last year
So
when
that's
I,
why it went down.
yeah, last year when I budgeted, I knew that, and we were hoping that it would cost a little less than the previous year, the 100,000. Then when I was making this budget, I knew we presumably weren't having that, and so just went back to my standard placeholder of 45,000 this year on that and stuff. Just if we need to buy a spot at Life Skills or something, it costs around 45,000, I think, and stuff. So.
It's actually gonna be significantly more than that moving forward, but yeah.
But we
It's
have-
started.
Yeah, so, okay, any other questions? All right, so athletics and extracurricular, we have some money in there, just higher budget for dues and fees and non-instructional, well, none of those are very similar. Refs are expensive, and dues for tournaments and stuff.
We now have to have 3 refs at each high school game
Yes.
for
Yeah.
basketball. And
Yeah.
we used to only have to have 2.
Yeah.
My
Yeah,
least
that
favorite
that
role.
changed last year and then,
Something cool I will share, OSAA supported districts, I'm gonna forget the name of it, but something like rep school. And so there's modules that we're gonna work with student athletes on to get trained as referees, and then use, like, once they get a certain level of training, use them in middle school games. We can't use them in high school games, but middle school we can, and it should bring down, and we actually wanna pay the students, but it'll still bring down our cost for that, so.
Good.
Yeah, and gives them great experience, and if you know any youngsters, that's how I got through college, was reffing. It is good money and it's fun, so.
So
Except for all the people that yell at you.
It's awesome. It's a good skill to learn.
So is that starting in the, if it,
Fall,
in
yeah.
the fall, so it will be after school starts that they'll start that kind of?
That program?
Yes.
Yeah, so it'll be into the fall. Actually, I haven't thought about that as summer, but let me think about that in my summer thinking. What I don't know is if we have access to those modules yet, because it's getting approved through SAA, but I think they shared them out to us and we could do that, so.
Okay.
Yeah. Note to self.
Okay, so scrolling down a little ways through all the sports stuff and into 2000s, there's punching code 2000, which is support services. So page, are you keeping up here, Sue?
No, where you at?
Page 38.
38.
So, health services, just budgeting the same amount for those, and staff improvement, our tuition reimbursement, and supplies and materials for staff dinners at PT, the parent-teacher conference, and the $20,000 for tuition reimbursement is just our bargaining agreements amount, so we need to budget that. Board of Education, audit services, legal services, stuff just staying, keeping it fairly similar. Dues and fees, raised it up a little more since we spent a little more, spending some on, because the OSBA raising prices on something, if I remember right, so I raised it up a little bit. Office of the superintendent, just putting in a little increase there, not any other real changes. Elementary principal, keeping stuff pretty similar. Any questions on? And so like on the elementary principal, just a note, you see on the insurance stipend, I got $1 on there. That's just a placeholder so that when I load this budget into my finance system, it picks up that code for me so I don't have to add it in. And depends on if we use that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a weird stipend.
The
You get
$1.
$1. You get the insurance and the $1 stipend.
Yeah, not
Lucky you.
anticipate. Yeah, I don't know if they'll have it. Insurance costs rising there since one of our people taken insurance that wasn't before. High school principal, pretty similar, right? That's about, so, yeah, just figuring in the insurance stipend on that one and figure insurance in also, because that's worst case scenario if I have to pay someone insurance versus insurance stipend. But anticipating one and one on that particular. Fiscal services. That's me and some bundled up stuff also. So that's where our unemployment compensation is. It's in that for the kind of worst case scenario of if everybody does apply for the unemployment, so.
So just to clarify, you said that they're still able to work through the summer with some certain jobs and collect unemployment at the same time?
No, so if we typically for unemployment, if your employer is offering you work and you decline it, then, you know, you can't take unemployment. But most districts found that even if they offered summer work to their staff,
And it was
They-
declined.
and they didn't take it, they could still get the unemployment and stuff.
So that, like, the people who approve it aren't asking, was there an option to work? They're just approving all claims.
They're just approving it?
Yeah, so.
Okay.
Because, and just to name, it was an unfunded mandate on the approval end as well, so they don't have the staffing
Yeah,
to keep up with the claims,
A
and
lot
so
more.
they're just like,
yeah,
yep, there you go.
unemployment department having to deal with a lot more claims happening.
So I have a first question. So then, if no one collects unemployment, I assume you don't spend the money.
Yep, then it just goes into our unallocated ending fund balance that we'll see, our savings account. So then we don't go in the hole as much as I'm planning, so that's a few of these things like that. Student support services up in special ed, that we don't have anything right now that's going to go to that 45,000, so if nothing ends up, then our savings account grows, or we just don't go into the hole quite as much as possible and stuff. So same with the unemployment there, so hopefully.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But, so, I mean, and that's the thing with the budget, the budget is how much we can spend. And so that's why we got a plan for these things is, okay, if that happens, then we need to be able to spend it. And so that's why we gotta throw these things in there, so. Technology, added in a little more extra budget for computer hardware and software. Probably gonna see more in next year's, need to swap out a bunch of computers because our desktops are getting old. They were here before I started. I think they got a year before I started, or 2 years. And so gonna need to swap those out. But replacing student Chromebooks and, yeah, laptops for staff and stuff. So adding a little more money in there because we have to replace equipment. Maintenance, kept that fairly similar other than liability insurance, and added a little more into supplies and materials, which I moved out of, well, I did that last year, janitorial supplies, but insurance costs going up. We'll actually see where the insurance company is doing a couple things a little different, so we'll see how much it ends up costing. The last couple of years, they've just said plan on a 15-20% increase, 10, 15, 20, and so I went with a little more. Insurance is expensive. Transportation, budgeting a little more in salaries on that. Yeah, just with our, just based on what I'm seeing, because we have a after-school route and stuff, and that adds additional transportation costs. Sped transportation, kept that same. That's driving kids to Florence for special ed stuff, or easy cares and stuff, EC cares. Any questions on any of that so far?
What if you got a new bus? Where's that coming out of?
Down lower in special revenue, we've got a spot in there.
In
for
special
it.
revenue? Okay.
But we don't need new bus because ours are, well, I shouldn't say ours are all nice because start of the year, they're all in the shop.
Yeah, brand
Every single
Everything
outfit.
brand new and every single one of them in a shop.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a nice fleet,
We do.
but don't build them like they used to, you know, they say, so. Okay, and down here at the beginning and ending balances. So, last year I budgeted for 1.75
Which page?
starting, page? Yours just-
43.
Accidentally checked my, oh, I'm on
Page 43. Yeah, so right there down at the bottom, page 43, the beginning fund balance, 1.75 million. So last year I budgeted for that much. We ended up, so the 2024 actual, we ended up with 2.2 million ending fund. And so that, typically that amount, you know, carries over into your beginning for the next year. So had a bit more money to play with at the start of this year than I was budgeting for. Once again, just kind of budgeting worst case scenario, and worst cases didn't come to pass, and we managed to save money in some different spots with grants and stuff. And so this year I was budgeting for about a 1.2 million ending fund balance, but I'm saying we're going to be sitting a bit better. I'm hoping for 1.7, so I went with that as a starting, and ending only at 1.3, so not quite as ugly as, well, last year I budgeted a bit uglier because that was our, we did the salary increases, aggressive salary increases for our teachers and stuff last year in our last budgeting, and so I was budgeting kind of rough on that, and we've been able to not be too bad. So that's the general fund. Any questions on general fund? Pick up the pace for special revenue. So special revenues, some different money. Not counting as much money in Title I, and dropped IDEA because we're not planning as much, and most districts are what's flat budgeting, just kind of figuring what they got this year, not anticipating any increases. And I have some in the Title I because I dropped it because we were a targeted school, so we were getting a little extra money, so I dropped it down a little bit. Student investment account, that's SIA. Assuming everything goes planned, those amounts are what they have already told us we should be getting, and then some other miscellaneous grants and the preschool, the transportation, depreciation and transportation beginning balance, so those are kind of where if we wanted to get a new bus, you'll see it further down. Textbooks, our PERS and retirement fund, capital improvements fund, we transfer money from the general fund. I didn't hit that in the general fund. There's the fund modification. We transfer money from the general fund over to a couple of these special revenue funds, our textbooks, our capital improvements, and I think I have a little bit in that PERS retirement, and some in the food program to help cover costs. So,
Is that the fund modifications?
on the general fund, yeah.
If
So
you want to see that line,
43.
page 43, fund modifications is what he's referring to that he skipped over earlier.
Yeah. Near the bottom, 43, it's got, so 173,000. We have typically done 150,000 with 125,000 going into capital improvements, if we need a new roof, if we need something done on the buildings and stuff, so that we have money set aside to do that, because it costs a lot to do stuff. And so we're saving money for that. We'll see that fund a little bit, so. I'm planning on about, speaking of capital improvements, about 300,000 starting balance in that fund. We transferring 100,000 over to it, so we could spend a few $100,000 on it if we needed to. Okay. How we're spending the money on special revenues. Scroll down here, so SRSA grant, these are some federal grants, a little bit of money there going towards the classified staff, Title II once again going towards
Is Friday School a grant funded program?
SIA, Student Investment Account, yep.
That's one of the ones I said where the advocacy at the legislature right now is hold that steady. We have a number of things, and we actually, last April board meeting, we do our district plan and how to spend that money there. So.
And that money, the SIA comes out of corporate activity tax, let's see, corporate activity tax and stuff, and so depending on how much money comes in, then is how much money they end up needing to spend on that stuff, and Measure 98 and the early literacy stuff, so, yeah. The IDEA grant, that's our special ed from the federals, going towards certified staff. Title I towards certified and towards classified. ESSER, that was COVID money, so nothing in there. And then we have the SIA, so I'm starting on page 50. These codes are kind of hit and miss. I tend to bundle it all in all reality all into one thing and split it up when I do my state report to say how much I spend. So, but I tried to split it up a little based on what I saw in last year's actuals. So yeah, the Friday school, people for it, administrative for it, supplies, social emotional support, Janet, I
Yeah.
think going towards
Yeah,
that
yep.
and
Yep.
stuff, so. Kind of
Yeah,
keep it.
this is one of those weird things where earlier about the classified question where it's like, they're in some other fund. These are all the funds that we drop some people into because it matches what that for SIA, the community says, hey, these are things that we think are important. We pay for some salary out of that, so you don't see it over in the other one, so.
In the general fund,
Yeah,
yeah.
my first year here, I was like, yeah, put a name next to each one of these line items for me, and then I could understand, okay, now I'm settled.
So is that also how you're making an increase in salaries for teacher yearly, is that some of them are coming out of these funds along with the general grant, the general funds?
Yeah.
So you're pulling them from some grants and
Yep.
things like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
and what I will say is we're really careful about that also, to not put all salary in these special funds, because if they go, if any of these go away, then you have to make cuts, and so we're strategic about that. Some of your larger districts that are having to make significant cuts this spring, which is quite a few across the state, they did that. The biggest thing was ESSER money from COVID. They put a ton of staffing into, and when that money, and we all knew that money was gonna go away, but as it went away, they didn't have the general fund or special funds to match it, and they're having to cut a lot of positions. So we're careful about how we do it. So,
Somebody's smart about that.
yeah.
Thanks, Sharon.
Do you wanted that?
Sharon, did you see me?
Yeah.
I pointed at you. Okay.
Measure high school success, some classified staff salaries. We, a couple people over here that we pay for out of that. Early literacy, doing some staffing out of that. Gear up, a little bit of staffing out of that. Miscellaneous state grants, we've got the Stronger Connections and this menstrual dignity. And I didn't have numbers for the, unless I put it down somewhere else. When I made the budget, I didn't have summer school. They hadn't passed it yet, and so I didn't have money in here for that.
For 26.
Yeah. And then preschool money, transportation, we have,
54.
yeah, page 54.
Sorry, 55. I was
55.
gonna say 54.
Yeah, so we're not planning on buying a bus, we anticipate with, so the state gives us depreciation based on our vehicles and stuff, and I moved that over into this fund, so we will probably have 135,000 available, so if we need to buy a bus, we almost could. Buses are expensive. Or if we want to buy another, people like driving a Suburban. Randy was like, "You need another Suburban." I was like, "No, the plan is to get a Traverse or Acadia or Expedition or something that gets a little better gas mileage and isn't quite as big. Suburban's for when you gotta throw a bit of sports equipment or something. So if we want to get something else, that way we don't have to take a bus everywhere if we only got, if you got a team that has 10 kids on it and you got 2 coaches, then they could take 2 cars instead of getting a bus.
That actually lowers our costs for athletics too, when we're not taking a full bus.
Because then you don't have to pay for the bus driver also.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the logistics as well, like we don't always have somebody that will, so, yeah, it's, the smaller ones are.
I'm just gonna stay away from that.
Textbooks, if we, well, when we buy some textbooks, since we buy textbooks about every year. PERS retirement fund, we set that up. There's a small retirement stipend for people that have been here at least 20 years, and also calculating for potential PERS increases, which they just passed legislation, so we shouldn't see as big a PERS increase. So there's just kind of one of those funds that we transferred money into, and so we have some reserve to be able to use for that. Capital improvements, budgeting 300,000 in case we want to spend 300 grand on capital improvements, like we spent some money this year doing the asbestos abatement and new flooring in the
Yeah, we,
middle school or every middle school.
I have a question on that one. I was told to ask, money gotten for those improvements that we haven't done yet, so this like fiscal year is over, is that money get transferred into like essentially the savings account, and then when we move forward with more sections of that, it's getting,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, so that's this capital improvement fund on page 56, right there at the top of 56. So yeah, if we don't spend that money that I've set aside for that, then that fund continues to increase. So I budget a bit each year just in case, well, if a tree fell on the roof, then insurance would cover that. In case we decide we want to do something nice, like replace the stairs up to the track or do the asbestos abatement, do the heating and the HVAC in the middle school or something. If we decided we want to take care of something, then we've got money set aside and budgeted for that we can spend towards that. And sometimes we, don't have anything we feel like is pressing.
I have a question on that.
Yep.
Didn't you, talk about putting in a well? Because there was some talk about asbestos in the water pipes or something like that.
We put it.
We've got a well.
And did that come out of this?
to.
Or is that different?
Some of, yeah, so that was probably 2024.
The
some of that
2024
money.
actual at 53?
Yeah,
that's
some of that would have been in it.
Yeah. Look, maybe a little bit into 25, we did it over the 2 years there. Some of it was digging the well and some of it was getting it hooked
And
up.
then my son has been talking about how the water tastes like blood.
So we're
And Phil said-
working on that now, we're turned off of the well right now, trying
Well,
to, well, no, that's
the
required.
issue-
but-
So in doing
During
sampling, yeah, I'm the small water systems operator for the district, the certified water systems operator. And so I do the testing for the water, and with people mentioning that, I was like, okay, well, we'll do iron and copper testing since it's a combined test. Well, yeah. And so the well, coming out of the well, passes through water softeners, and the water is clean then. And it gets here to the high school and it's clean. But it passes through, what's the piping? Starts with a C. Is it,
Concrete?
what?
Concrete? Copper?
No, no,
Coag, something,
the steel pipe, I mean,
the big pipes.
ends up rusting and stuff, and so when it gets, so as it's traveling over there to the elementary, it's picking up a bunch of iron. And so we're considering what we can do to take care of that. Yeah, we're thinking about what we can do to take care of that. And right now, we're not even using the well because the well won't run our fire system sprinklers here. And the fire marshal says, so you can't be using it unless we want to be on fire watch or something.
Yeah, so, but the nice thing is we ran it for a while, we know it works and it provides a lot of water.
Yeah.
And if water goes down in the area, like it did
If
for the
maybe
8
the
days
water
before we
loses
did
water,
this,
yeah.
we know we could flip a switch and have water, at least on this side, that does not taste like blood. So, and it's healthy and fast to all the
That's on
things.
fire watch, but you'd be on fire watch.
If we flipped over, yeah, and we just run, and we do that anyway when, even if we're on the water system and we don't have enough water, pressure, we have to go on fire watch anyway, so it's actually no different between those two.
And when the city water runs through, it's the same pipes essentially,
Yes,
so
yes.
that's,
And so
it
it
still
still
tastes like
Should still taste
like iron
Yeah.
water at the elementary because of the piping
And
system.
it tastes better because I bought water pitchers for every classroom out of our healthy food budget. So they at least get rid of filtered water now.
Okay.
It's better.
Yeah. And so we're looking at options to be able to use the well, and we're looking at some options for that and for the water over, yeah. It just depends on how much we want to spend.
That's right.
And we just had a facilities assessment this year. The state had a grant through the feds, I want to say 9 states or something about it, I think they said, going around to every district, every school, and they're doing deep dive into the needs of the schools, having a engineering company come and they look at everything, and having an ADA, a guy that's big on ADA, that's accessibility, come through and look at stuff, and telling us all how much it would cost take care of everything, make it all accessible, and tell us how much
10
we
years?
need to, and
Yeah, over a 10-year, like, so it's cost to improve all that to perfect, well, it's not perfect, but anyway, too many details. And over a 10-year, do you remember the number? I
well,
fell out of my seat.
I want to say it was like 44 million.
That's what I was gonna say, 44 million over 10 years to upgrade, and we've had a bond. So they're making a dashboard where you'll be able to see all the schools as they finish, or all the districts. And 44 million won't look like a lot compared to everybody else, but the point of this is to,
44 million for this school
For-
district?
for this
Yeah.
district, over 10 years, yeah, and it's
That's
broken
over 4
by.
million a year.
So,
Yeah,
and it includes everything on the campus, so like the pool's included, the
which the pool wasn't
grandstands.
as much.
The pool wasn't anywhere near what we had been, it was a low ball, so it was weird, but.
And there's applying that grant, or that's just, they
No,
just
no,
applied the
this is
service that said this is how much it's gonna cost?
The
Yeah.
point of it is to then be able to advocate to the legislature ongoing for facilities, and there's some things moving with that, but right now, there's something called the they call it awesome, it's awesome. That is a matching grant, but you have to pass a bond, and for districts that can't pass a bond, they can't access any of the facilities funding either, and so they're
Buildings are just
needing more,
deteriorating.
yeah, and so this whole thing is intended to try to move some legislation that lets every district access.
Is that original
Capital
fund that was
funds.
passed a few years back for all the improvements to the schools, is that already up?
No,
Okay.
that's that 3.3 million that I mentioned that we still goes through 2041.
Yeah, 41.
But, and so that 44 million, like I said, not all of that is just basic repairs, you know, anticipating a new roof or a section that needs siding and stuff. A large portion of that is making the buildings accessible, wheelchair
Yeah.
stuff, all sorts of, it is a very detailed, the ADA thing, very detailed.
Even while we're working on the building over here, we're working on plans for that, and there's a lot.
Well, and even things that were done in the bond that, you know, were supposed to be ADA compliant or not really ADA compliant and stuff, you know, because they might, the slope
Change the
The
Yeah, they
slope
change the
isn't
codes
actually,
all the time,
The
yeah, yeah.
ADA changes like frequently, so that 10-year projection
Yeah.
will be way higher than that, because the ADA will change their thoughts about it, like probably 10 times
Yeah.
in that 10 years.
And they do account for some of that cost
well,
increase over that
inflation
time.
increase, yeah.
That too, yeah.
But, yeah, so that's why we have to keep putting money toward, into capital improvement, because we, yeah, keep having to repair things. So, any other questions on those? Some miscellaneous, not talking over anyone, miscellaneous grants, we have the Upriver grant, some money in there. United Way grant, a little money there, and after school grant. I think that's the 21st century one, and admin grant that, I don't know what I'm calling that, outdoor school, on that one, we got outdoor school coming up this year. Lane Community Health, urban grant,
It's the new one for next year, so, yeah, Lane Community Health. And last year, we had a Lane Community Health grant that paid for Boots, mental health services.
and yeah, these miscellaneous grants, they code them, if you look at the end of the account number, you can see 730, 740, 750, 760, so, I mean, it just depends on, you know, we get a grant for 1 year, I code it as 720, and the next year, 720 might be some other grant, and so the amounts from year to year are nothing real comparable, it's just got a budget to have anticipated grants, so. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Some other grants, YTP grant we don't have anymore, Perkins grant, throw a little bit of money in there. Student body that, oh, no, I don't have any money in Perkins or YTP.
Perkins,
I know
we
it
don't
has
currently qualify for Perkins, however, ODE's working with me on an innovation grant to perhaps approve a program of study that's different than anybody else in the state. So stay tuned, then we can get more money.
Student body, those are the elementary and high school accounts. I just put in the same amounts for them. And then food services, spending money on people to make food and spending money on food, fresh fruit and vegetable. And the CACFP, that's our separate program for after-school programs. That's the one that we started this year. And so, see those ones, total special revenue funds, expenditures and revenues, just balance out.
We spend what we've taken.
Yeah. I don't show the ending balances of things like the capital improvement balance. I keep them in their individual things, so. Balances, debt service fund, that's paying our bond revenue and expense. They're paying for the bond, property taxes coming in, and money going out for that. Any questions on those? Capital improvement fund there, doesn't have anything, and then very end, so grand total, $8 million. $38,271. Any questions?
Where's the savings account amount?
That's up at the top, that page, is that 40, that's that ending fund and the starting fund, and starting balance and ending balance.
1.3 or whatever.
Page 43. So that'll be that very bottom of 43, that 1.3 million, that's our.
Oh, that's the
consider
savings. Oh, okay.
That's our general fund savings, and then that capital and transportation have their, those are in savings also and stuff, and so they help go towards it, but so our unallocated is planned for 1.3 million, so still fairly healthy when you consider our state school fund is 3 million, so we've budgeting at least, being able to cover a third of that if they cut us by 33%, and be able to handle it for a year.
They better not do that.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, with that, if there's some bad thing that happens, then presumably we've got a few years of weathering it where we can just not post jobs if someone retires, and if we need to and stuff, we hopefully wouldn't have to riff any stuff, so.
And I'll just say from a superintendent perspective, like when I talk with my colleagues, they're running on low margins and getting smaller as cuts happen, and they're worried. That's why you see cuts across. And so we'll kind of go around the table and ask questions and that, and then people will look at me and be like, how do you guys do that? It's like, we're fiscally responsible and we get grants to pay for extra stuff. And it's not just me, it's a history of that, of being careful and making sure that number stays high just in case. And so, yeah, I like Jared and I, as things are kind of uncertain in the state, I go to meetings and people are like, cut, and I come back and I'm like, are we missing something? And the answer is, we're sitting on that number and don't have to be reactive. We can see what's gonna play out and just be smart in our spending versus, oh my gosh, we were too close and now we have to make these changes. So, sitting in a good spot.
Are we still doing more and more grants? Because I know that you're working on them all the time.
I got
All the time.
15,000 last week for this education and sensory gardens. Sometimes it's staff, we have resilience grants that we're gonna introduce Dave shortly here and pay for what's your job? Food systems coordinator, thank you. And so there's not very many grants that come across our table. And we don't create things to get the grant money. We know what we want to do and find the grants that fit. And then the nice thing is, like, I got an email the other day, it's $4,500, but it's still money, where they just sent me an email and were like, $4,500 for nutrition service stuff. And I'm like, strings attached? Nope, okay, cool. And get it. So, like, we're in this spot right now where people know what we're up to, and when they have money available, they call us and say, hey, I want to help support that, which is a fun spot to be in. So.
Yeah, Crystal just wrote to us today, so
Yep.
got a smoothie equipment grant and stuff, so they're gonna be sending the high school some equipment for smoothies.
And we've been working on students making recipes and trying them in order to do more scratch cooking in our cafeteria. And so, like, these things just, and we go, like, some places don't go after, you know, $4,500 is not a lot of money, and I don't even know how much the smoothie stuff is, but I think some people see that as scraps, but when you go after scraps, you collect and you don't spend your general fund money on a smoothie machine, and those things add up over time. So we go after everything, and we have really good grant writers here, so we get grants, so, yeah.
Good. Any other questions on the budget? All right, so Will, it's up to you to move to, well,
The chair moves to approve the budget for the 2026 fiscal year, if this is correct.
I'll second that. Making a motion.
You do? Excellent. All in favor?
Aye.
The budget is adopted then.
Is Mizu still there? Mizu, what's your vote?
Yes, I approve.
all right, budget's approved. We don't need to plan for a May 28th budget meeting. And Budget Committee, thank you for your service. You're welcome to stick around and listen to the rest and hang out here, or go enjoy your evening, unlike me.
Wow.
The rest of you are sick.
I'll push for like a really fast switchover because I think he needs to.
Yeah, well, even if we're gonna take a break, if we can get Dave to present first for the.
Actually,
for the board meeting, then we can-
my time pressure has changed. I just talked to my sister-in-law, and I was supposed to be rushing to Eugene to pick up my niece at 7:15, but we worked it out. So I'm not in a hurry, and I would even encourage Zach to go before me, because I enjoy board meetings, so I wanted to.
You saying I don't want to be bored?
Yeah. Exactly.
You win, you like them more than me.
That's okay, I'm gonna head out.
But
Thank you so much for doing that.
let's just stand up and walk for a second.
Would be nice.
So my name was on here and it said for 2026. Does that mean I volunteered myself for 2 years?
Yeah, did you
That's
know
how this
that?
works.
That was like in
Yeah,
a
read the
whole
fine
way, I
print.
guess I could do that kind of thing.
No,
Maybe
that was-
so that I may
Thanks, Mizu.
That was
Me
team
too.
thing, so yeah,
Maybe
it's
recruit me.
just whoever's available, I put in for whichever slot.
So this is only because
Sharon,
my
on
husband's out of the country.
Oh, yes, I need to change
Yeah,
who,
page 6.
because who's
It's, Andrea and me.
Andrea and
Yeah.
What are you here for then?
The school cafeteria policies and procedures for the
Thank
garden.
you, Mariah, thank you, Julie. Hopefully, we'll keep things along. Thank you, Melissa.
What are you here for?
The Mapleton Athletic Hall of Fame.
Awesome.
And make copies of mine, buy the laws.
Julie, you just do everything, don't you?
I just bought so much stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Today,
We need you.
I
We need
Tucker
you.
went through it, and I dumped the stuff up for Sarah, and then that Tupperware that's been in my house forever. And I'm like, people are getting their things back. And if Maureen's car would have been home, then, I mean, Measy wasn't here, so I would have been stupid, but I would have brought more stuff. Like, get it out. She's not responding. Oh, thanks, yeah.
I didn't go too long. I blame Sue's mom. I said she-
I'm not reading.
The what?
I don't know, Sue read like a chapter book to us.
Oh. Here's me, I was like, oh my God, I've gotta go. Like, everyone just got home. I mean, it literally happens every board meeting. And I'm like, Troy, you knew I had, like, I couldn't help it. I'm like, I know. And then I give him Macy. He's starting to try to run around the property like an ox, pulling her in her car just to like do things. I'm like, okay, I'm getting ready to leave. And then Smith pulls up and she's trying to talk to me like, I've got to go. And I was like, I would have took my time. I've been here now for an hour and a half for rough. Okay, everybody good on the agenda? No changes?
I think we're good. Okay.
Are we moving anything around?
Well, so, these two reports.
Yeah, probably these ones
will go first, yeah, but I think we're expecting that, and then,
Were they listed on here? For
No, they're in 5.1, like
Okay. all right.
5.4 and 5.5.
So and cool, because
And
we're already there.
We talked a little bit about, 9.3 might show up in some of those policy things, so just
Yeah, yeah.
naming, like, we might start talking about those early, so.
Okay. All right, so district reports, but we're gonna lead off with whichever one of you wanna jump in first.
Go for it, Zach. Want to sit here or are you good?
Where shall I go?
You can go wherever you want. You can
Okay,
stand,
I'll
you
go
can
right
sit there, I don't care.
2 months ago, I introduced my plan for the Mapleton Athletic Hall of Fame. Or I should say, it says on my bylaws here, Mapleton Athletic Hall of Fame. I think Carrie and I, who have been the main organizers, talked about it. We're definitely open to it just being a general Hall of Fame. We're kind of, I've looked at a different hall, I'm on the Sayusval Hall of Fame committee. I've talked to St. Helens High School. Carrie's connected me with a couple other high schools' bylaws. And I put those together to kind of create our bylaws here. We talked about the purpose last time. We determined an 11-member selection committee is a good number because that's an odd number for one thing. And I kind of have a breakdown of what Carrie and I came up with. We have the current superintendent, current athletic director, one current member of the board who is Mizu, one current coach who is Eric Wagamot, one current student who is Ramil Beers, one researcher, which is I, and 5 alumni. So we have an 11-person selection committee that we've created that includes Johnny Barros, Ramil Beers, as I mentioned, Mizu, as I mentioned, me, Carrie, Ivan Ellingson, who graduated in the 50s, so he kind of will have a good perspective from people quite a ways ago. Tucker Ford, Teresa Spangler, who I believe she graduated in the 70s, so will also give us a good perspective on the past. Johnny Simonton, who I apologize, I don't know which generation of Simontons he came from, but I know he will have a good perspective according to Carrie. Sue, the superintendent, and Eric, as I mentioned, will be on the selection committee.
What is Eric, coach?
He's the varsity boys basketball coach.
Okay.
He's also an alumni too. We talked about, let's see. So initially the selection, the committee will just be a selection committee in the first year, but moving forward, we hope to elect from that committee a president, a vice president, a secretary, that we will have a vote for, and we'll kind of have a regular board meetings, I guess, maybe once or twice a year, similar to the ones you guys have here. So the committee's responsibilities will be overseeing the nomination process, planning the induction ceremony, and maintaining the records. Eligibility criteria, we determined that any athlete that graduated from Mapleton High School will be eligible. They have to be at least 5 years from their graduation date. Coaches and administrators can be recognized at any time. Contributors, that would just be somebody that isn't necessarily a coach or a player, but somebody that's contributed to the Mapleton Athletic or Mapleton schools community. They can also be nominated at any time, and posthumian, however you pronounce that, people that have passed are also eligible. The nomination process this year, we kind of, because we're kind of just coming up with it, Carrie and I have solicited nominations via Facebook. I wrote an article that was in the Sayusval News. Carrie's reached out to a few people. I have a real nice list of nominees. The first time will be pretty easy because there's quite a few names that, if you're familiar with Mapleton athletic history, that are, just names that are kind of obvious that should be elected. We still will send out a ballot and have a vote. But I think, the first time it'll be pretty easy. As the years go on, it'll be a little more difficult to select people because the obvious people will be selected. Let's see, so this year, the timing that we're going to go with this year is I'm going to have the ballot ready by June 1st. So we'll send out the ballot or deliver the ballots by June 1st. They will have till June 15th to turn in their ballots, and then Carrie and I hope to announce the class by July 1st. We hope to people that are inducted, we hope to have them here for the induction ceremony, and unless they passed, of course. And you know, if somebody maybe can't be here this year and wants to be here next year, there could be an instance where we would, though they would be appropriate for the, you know, the first class of inductees, may be inducted next year if they couldn't, you know, if they don't live around here and want to be here for the induction ceremony. Initially, you know, the ballot will allow for each person to vote for 4 individuals and 2 teams, and they can also write in people if I don't have them on the ballot. Our plan is to elect the top 4 individuals and top 2 teams, but that number is very flexible and can be adjusted. We, you know, the committee will, if there's future amendments that need to be added to the bylaws, that committee will determine those. So yeah, I came up with a pretty nice list of nominees. Carrie and I have got some good feedback from the community. I really enjoyed doing the research. I mean, this is just fun for me. I would do it for free. I guess I kind of am. One really cool thing I just want to share with you guys that you know, that maybe some of you knew that I've learned since we last spoke. We had, in the class of 1956, we had a graduate named Sharon Shepard, who at the time was, as a high school senior, was the best shot putter, female shot putter in America. Wow. And she competed in the Olympic trials in 56, 60, and 64, never made the Olympics. But in 1958 was part of the United States national team, went to Moscow and competed. In an attempt to like track her down, I reached out to Linfield where she went, and I found out that they didn't even have track at Linfield, so she didn't compete while she was competing for the U.S. national team for Linfield, she played softball, field hockey, and volleyball, and was an All-American in both field hockey and either softball or volleyball, I can't remember, but pretty much like one of the best women's athletes in the nation in the late 50s, early 60s was from our little town right here. I did just actually coincidentally find out that I reached out to Linfield last week and they just got back to me today and told me that Sharon passed in July of 2024. I was excited to, you know, see if we could, what I really think is cool is, you know, to bring some of these people back, you know, that haven't been here for years, you know, and I look forward to trying to track her down, you know, and inviting her to come. But there is a few people that are still alive, I believe, that, you know, hopefully we can get here for the ceremony. As I'm sure you guys have heard, along with the ceremony, we're going to have an auction and dinner as a fundraiser for our athletic department. That's Carrie's thing. I don't really want to speak on that too much, but things are coming together well, I think, for that. There was some talk, you know, about Carrie had found, somebody had solicited her with an idea for like a touch screen and some kind of display thing. And I'm not sure exactly what happened. She tried to get funding for that. That didn't, you know, that fell through.
So it was in a grant submission. We didn't get approved for that one, but we have it written now and are looking for ways to do it. And it's costly and also affordable in the long run.
You know what?
So I'm excited. Like, it's a interactive digital display, but then you can access everything from the internet as well. And so we can showcase the Hall of Fame, but then we can also be showcasing things going on at Mapleton and have an interactive.
Yeah, and
kind of exciting.
You know, the Hall of Fame may have prompted the idea, but I definitely think of it as something more than that. You know, Hall of Fame would be a small percentage of what you could see on there, but
yeah.
Mary had reached out to me about talking about funding, and you know, over the past couple months, you know, the time I've spent doing all this research, you know, there's part of, you know, there's just determining who deserves to go in the Hall of Fame, and, you know, we'll just figure that out and we'll essentially, you know, have a plaque for them. And that's the part I'm gonna handle. The funding and stuff is, you know, I don't have the vision right now to see where we need money, to be honest. You know, I totally understand that we need to, you know, have something that has their picture and the history of their time here at Mapleton, but, you know, I guess I need a little more guidance in terms of the funding part, you know, and Marie, I haven't reached out to you, and I just, you know, want to let you know that it's on my mind. It's just, not the priority. I think the priority, you know, Carrie's on top of the dinner and everything like that, so we're gonna figure out who we're gonna get in, we're gonna choose them. And, you know, my priority will be, you know, inducting them and stuff like that, and how we, the permanent display for that, to be announced. That's where I'm at right now. Have you got any questions?
Well, no, you guys seem to be evolving.
You said that she had passed. Have you thought about asking any of
Oh.
her?
Absolutely, and you know, that's really, you know, she will, you know, will, some people like her, regardless of the vote, we're gonna induct her in the first class, you know, she just is too, you know, she should be in the Hall of Fame, it's just, there's no question about some people, and yes, definitely, we're gonna reach out to her family, and any of these people, if they passed, or whatever reason they can't make it, or something like that, you know, yeah, that's, I love the thought of their family coming and accepting, the induction on their behalf. You know, one of the, you know, like I mentioned, we're gonna try to induct teams, and, you know, some of the teams are from the 40s and 50s, some of our best teams, so, you know, obviously a lot of those people won't be around, but hopefully, I mean, I think the thought of like a 10-person basketball team, and we, you know, even if only 2 of them are alive, if we can, you know, get 20 people here to represent their team, we'll get a lot of people at our dinner and auction, and we'll also, you know, celebrate our community and stuff like that. And I think, you know, I know there's been, our public relations with the community hasn't been the greatest, and I think this is an opportunity to help with that, you know, and I think sports is an olive branch that, you know, everybody loves sports, or 99% of people do, I guess, you know, so, I hope to use it as that.
Thank you.
Lonnie Eicholtz graduated.
Oh, Lonnie Eicholtz is on my list for sure, yes, definitely.
Thank you, Zach.
Yeah, no problem.
Sounds like it's moving good, so.
Thanks for updating.
Yeah.
And then, do we need to move to our next one, or would you rather? that
Yeah.
we can eat?
Dave, you wanna, yeah, that'd be awesome, thanks.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for having me. My name's Dave Strom, and I am one of the new part-time food systems coordinators, along with Kamari. And my function primarily is to work with the ag education component of our program and streamline and getting our produce into our cafeteria. So those are the kind of my 2 focus areas. Kamari takes the lead on the farmer's market and the actual production garden. But we all work together to do all the things. So we're just kind of getting ourselves together, you could say. It's going to be a great program. I'm really excited about it. I've worked in many school garden programs. I've built many school gardens, and I can tell when it's going to work based on our leadership team and when it's going to be a struggle. And this one is going to be a struggle, but it's going to work. I'm very confident in that. We have a really good team working on this. So I'm very excited. I was able to recently adjust my work schedule, so I'm able to carve out more time to work on this part of my job. Basically, I have 3 part-time jobs here at Mapleton. I manage the after-school program through Boys and Girls Club of Florence, and that's a 15 to 20 hour a week position. And then I've been subbing as an EA, mostly at the elementary school, but also at the high school a lot, since January, for some long-term absences. And now I get to do this. So this is the part that, I love it all, but I really love school gardens and the power of getting kids out into gardens and learning about where their food grows and learning to do it themselves. So that's a little background for me. I also was sincere about, I know you guys are on a time limit, so I don't want to ramble, but I really do enjoy board meetings. I've sat on 3 different school boards over the course of the last 30 years, and so I feel like now I might have time to actually sit in with you. So I'm excited about that. So let's get to the chase. What I'm passing out to you is Mapleton School Garden to Cafeteria Policies and Procedures. And this was kind of our first stab at putting these pieces together. I've already started to go through each section, and I've made notes, and the language is going to change and be more reflective of what we're actually doing on site here. But this is kind of like a guideline. I honestly have this on my calendar on Monday to finish, is the next time I'm going to be able to go through it, and I don't think it'll take me more than another hour and a half. But for instance, like one thing that I've started with the garden management, designated, yes, I've already changed that, designate a garden committee, as opposed to the original language was designate a garden coordinator, which is kind of weird. Tucker's kind of in charge of it, but there's all these heads. I think it'd be better to have a garden committee personally. But I guess I would say, feel free to look through this. Maybe feel free to email me any ideas or changes you'd like to see. I'm flexible on all of it. We got input from parents. I had parents read this. I had one of my 6th graders read this. And I've had multiple teachers read this. So if you have any other suggestions on gathering input for this, I'm open to that as well. So I guess that's it in a nutshell. If you all have any questions.
I think the main ask, probably goal, what's this? What month is this?
May, end of May.
June, probably like a first read in June or even beginning of next year. We don't have to do 2 reads for every single thing, so it could be a 1-month thing, or we first read it in June and approve in August, something like that. But the goal is that we have a formal garden to cafeteria policy that's guiding this part of the work. So.
Okay. Then we can shoot for June, just because then maybe the other 2 will be here and actually put eyes on it, and yeah.
Yeah, and I'll just shout out the team, like, it's cool, like Courtney's moved the work really far on her, like without a team, and then now that David Kamari, you can just feel this energy where like things are moving and it lifts capacity, or it distributes that work in ways that get both going, and you can tell they're feeding off each other. And so like I was laughing because I'm eating one of the salads, but like it's about the cafeteria and the gardens and learning in the classroom. And like literally this was lunch today, and this comes from kids saying, no really, we want salads. And we go through these like crazy at lunch, and they're asking for more, certain changes and those kind of things. When we have our own grown food to then put on them, like, that's the vision.
Yeah,
So.
essentially I'm very confident that by next fall, the majority of what we have on our salad bar, we will produce ourselves.
Okay.
There will be certain items that are out of season, but even that, we're gonna have a high house and we're gonna be able to grow. I'm very confident in Tucker and Kamari and myself's ability to fully supply our salad bar to start with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll share one more, that we were in year one, well, we did a year of the Farm to School Institute starting last June, and we're invited back to participate again. And I think they actually paid the cost for us too. And so this summer with the expanded team, we'll go kind of sit back down and write the action plan for the next year, and we have supports from beyond the school to help us with all these goals too. So it's exciting. So.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome to stay as long as you would like.
Okay, and I just want to say a special shout out, thank you Mizu and Mary for running for public office.
Yeah, and Andrea.
And
That's right,
Andrea.
yep.
Thank you
Yes.
all, we need you.
Ultimately, everybody, but recently.
But yeah, I was like, wow, I actually know people on a ballot. Like, I'm from Oakland, California, like, I'm from the big city, so I'm still learning.
All right, what do you have, Sue?
What are we doing?
What time do you all usually go to?
Oh, that's
You don't wanna
that's a
depends.
loaded question.
We're doing policy review, so we're gonna jump into
Okay,
it
I
as
might-
fast as we can.
I might dip out on this part of it then.
Let's see. I do have one change to the agenda, to add a resignation,
Is that the ones in the back?
is it on there? At 8.3, we'll add one name to there.
Okay.
So elementary principal,
Oh, yeah,
it's known knowledge, but we have to formally do it, so, and I did forward the letter to you, I got it today, so I forwarded it to you, at the beginning of the meeting, so.
Okay.
When you asked any additions, I was like, actually, I
Forgot.
think so, let me look this up and see if I got it, so, alright. What am I doing? Reports, I'm gonna keep this short and sweet so we can get to, and I talked about a lot of these things in the budget stuff that's coming up, but end of the year is coming, June 4th. Sforza Fair got mentioned, but just wanna make sure that's on people's radars. We're excited to showcase all the awesome work of students and teachers, and the different projects and spaces going on, so. Sports are coming to an end. High school sports are wrapping up kind of this weekend next. And middle school wrapped up their track season, performed really well. I'm gonna forget, but there was second and third place finishes for in the league for boys and girls, but they split up 5th and 6th and 7th and 8th, and don't ask me to remember which one, but we performed really well. It was great. And then, what am I forgetting? We talked about other things. I'm gonna keep it short because I wanna get to policy review stuff, but if I think of anything else, I'll throw it in there. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop there and we can go to, you wanna do? Yeah, let's talk about the budget.
Let's talk about finance, tech, maintenance. I feel like you guys have probably talked numbers a lot, so you can keep all of these next two sections as short as you want to. And no one will be upset.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, I do have one and it ties to this.
Look at that,
I know,
Sharon.
but you're probably gonna say it anyway, but the main, sorry, I was like, there's something I always talk about here. So for the middle school building, the bid is open, for reasons that, to get more bids, Kurt thinks we can get a few more if we extend that bid opening till the 28th instead of, I think it was supposed to close Monday originally. And so that's open a little longer, yesterday, okay. And, so we extended that to the 28th and, we'll bring those bids back to the June meeting. That was the other thing.
And is that for the
Flooring,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No, that's not true, sorry.
No, wait,
We're doing flooring, that's for the
I was
kitchen.
like, that's late for what.
So
we
that's
and I
the, yep,
discussed.
that's
Okay.
the whole, sorry.
remodeling of the back right.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's right.
That's what the bid is, so we can get the actual cost and
Perfect.
then work through that. And then, flooring is set to do the last week.
That's right.
Last
You
week
said
of
it's
May.
gonna start
Yeah.
next week, okay.
I knew I was like, there's something I always talk about right here. Okay.
Okay, now, I don't really have anything. We spent some money. I took care of some tech issues, maintenance. He was on, what was Kyle on last? I don't know if Kyle was on.
No, I've seen him a couple times.
Yep, do we,
Well, was he on
You know,
first?
I don't,
I don't recall that. We might need to add
In
one more.
case he wasn't,
Sorry,
we're going
we're
to
trying to
I'm
add
gonna add
on.
that here to a hiring.
So we could-
We're winning right now.
Yeah, there you go.
This is that time of year where
It's a
we,
heck of an end of the year though, so.
May is hard.
It is really hard.
May is hard.
I'm a little overwhelmed.
It's, yeah. anyway, we have one more person.
Okay, so I'm gonna say thank you for that, Jaren, and I'm gonna move to the consent agenda.
Yeah.
Did everyone look over it? I did, I just didn't print anything today.
I did, I move that we, accept the consent agenda, 7.1, 7.2, 7.3.
Second.
All those in favor? Mizu? Okay. Action items, everyone's favorite, policies, let's go.
So I'm gonna put up, so the second reads, for the most part, have been
You were
changed,
making-
except there was one that we were having Sue
Check on.
Wordsmith, so I'm going to
Attendance.
put that one up.
The 814?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, the JE,
Yeah, this was the one that was like, just kind of
It was weird.
archaic language about, we
Yeah.
have an attendance policy to prove to kids the world is hard.
Yeah.
And we kind
yeah.
of updated that.
So
one.
there's what she came up with, if that works for people. Mizu, well, suppose I could read
Does
it.
that trust us on that one? Mizu? Yeah, she can
Oh,
see
am I
it.
not sharing? Oh, I'm not
Yeah,
sharing
that's
right
she
now,
can
that's
see.
right.
I was thinking
Yeah,
she's
I
on
mean-
phone, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There you go.
Perfect. So it's more understandable.
Just to name number 2, depth and collaboration might not be the right words, but the intent was to make it important to come to school. Like, that you can't pass or learn well if you're here a couple times a week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions, thoughts?
Any other of the second reads that you want to see again?
This is, okay, yeah, no, we're good.
Nobody's saying anything here. Mizu, do you have anything? Okay. Then I'll entertain a motion for the 8.1s.
Okay, so I move we approve the policies 8.1, so 8.1.1 through 8.1.22.
Okay. A second?
A second.
Okay. All those in favor? Mizu?
Did you guys raise right now? I looked away.
We all raised our
Really?
hand.
What?
Just Lisa said
I've
yes.
seen it.
Well, I thought you were starting with her, and then you were like, okay, and I was like, I missed something. Tuned out for a second.
Okay, so now we're moving on to the first reads.
Right.
Okay. Most of these are reviews. I'm gonna start with JHCA. Oh, and
I like his babbling over there.
blah, blah, blah. Well, let's start with JHCA because that was in the April changes in immunization and school sports participation. So the completed form must be returned as directed or to the school office? As directed presumably would be like to coach or something, or
School office for, this is,
What's the-
school sports
to participate
participation.
and then by the doctor.
because it's the medical, yeah, I don't want that going to coaches. So to the school office. Because they have to get filed in their stuff. Side note, free physicals on January 5th? I think it's on the 5th, so.
June 5th,
June, what did I say?
January.
June 5th.
Yeah, I was like, well, what's happening? I
I
don't remember that.
would have to ask you the date every time, like what date.
So that's the one where you'll take everyone down?
Yep.
Okay.
And then some things about concussion added in, it looks like.
You have all this shared now still too, right? Zeus tracking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
So, those are the only, that was the only thing to choose between was that one, so that's, that one, any questions on that one?
No.
Okay. I'm gonna close that so it doesn't pop up. IIABB, so I'm gonna move to it since Sue wanted, it brought up use of feature films and
8213.
videos.
This is the one, it didn't end up on the list for I, but I wanted it.
Okay, so we're only going up to PG-13, and for PG or PG-13, you have to have permission, right?
Prior consent and the.
Well, and so if you want to show something that's not G, you have to get parental consent.
That sounds like give them enough time.
Regardless,
to review
yeah,
the form.
regardless
Yeah.
of, so over here at the high school, you can only show G unless you get parental consent.
And this is this is the proposed.
No, this is the current
Change.
policy.
Scroll, that's the top of it?
No, it's got,
Oh,
There's
so
the
it is
AR.
the current policy. Okay,
Hold on, real quick, because,
I feel like that's not what happened.
yeah, no, sorry, let me get oriented here. School board.
unless you're thinking the AR, which is on here also.
It might be the hold on, Hawaiian
This is the AR? Okay. Right, showing future plans.
So, yeah, the AR. So if a teacher wants to show a movie, they gotta get permission from the principal at least 5 days prior to the showing, submit to the principal all this information. And even with Gs, you have to
Yeah, that's,
notify the parent.
yeah, that's my,
PG and PG-13, you gotta get their consent and send all this
That
information
one,
for any
sometimes
movie.
you need fillers, right?
yeah, well, and like, where's that line of film versus a clip from something versus, like, that's kind of what comes up, but I think my biggest thing is middle school, high school, if we're showing something from a G movie, do we really need?
No,
So-
but I'm even thinking elementary side,
Yeah.
there's times you end up with like, I need to fill the gap, because we ended up with this 30 minutes at the end of the day, I mean, I know when
And I
I went
will
to, like, we gotta
share-
turn a movie on.
Well, and I will share currently, this school shows the least number of movies of any school I've ever worked in. Like, that is not how we fill time, and,
Can't play outside.
we, like,
Yeah,
we,
exactly.
it, yeah, it is, and then we almost never show a full movie unless it's a big event, you know, we're gonna have everybody in the, and then we've communicated it out anyway, but,
Yeah, it was a movie day or something.
that's not part of a like, they're doing Romeo and Juliet in here, they're using components of that film, right? And so it's in the approved curriculum already, and so.
But are parents aware of that?
Well, it's like, it's communicated in different ways, yeah, so like, we're not sending a letter home each time to say, we're gonna
watch it again
watch this
today.
letter, yeah, and so I guess that's why I wanted to come back to this and see if there's a way to, shorten it up, because even the AR here to say the teacher's gonna submit all these things, like if it's in your approved curriculum, I don't need you to do that, we've
But
already
it's in your
approved it.
approved curriculum for who though? Like,
Who sees that?
like if,
Or,
like, do the parents know, like, the curriculum for the year might be that they're gonna see these films?
yeah, like, so there's a syllabus for a class, there's access to the curriculum, there's a scope and sequence that we can,
Okay.
that we're sharing, like, these documents exist if they're.
Because I know, like,
Yeah,
I know this year I didn't see any syllabuses, but, and usually I do. So like, as long as the
they got
syllabus,
signed.
as long as the syllabus is going home.
Yeah, which,
Then I think
that's a
it's-
required thing every year, so like, those pieces are there, and I'm thinking, I think there's a difference between middle school, high school, and elementary even between this that we could articulate in here, but, yeah, we don't show a lot of films anyway. For me, it's like, it seems like extra work for something G-rated if the, policy already says not for G. Like, I feel like there's a mismatch somewhere with G between the two. That at the very least we could clean up, and then I personally would like to add something that is, if it's in the approved curriculum, you don't need to do these extra steps to do it again, right? And so, that was kind of the piece, I've had, teachers come to me and be like,
Yeah, so
we're
like,
really
you
doing
can
every step of
say,
this.
additionally, for future films with a PG or PG-13 rating, prior parental consent will be required before student views the film unless already in the approved curriculum.
Yeah, I would love that.
But you should also, because yeah, all the syllabuses came home, I read through all of them, because I had to
It
sign
should
them.
detail on.
But it should make sure that then those teachers need to make sure on the syllabus, on the syllabi that those are listed then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
These are
hopefully,
the-
as long as they're forecasting.
Yeah, yeah.
Enough.
and if it's not forecasted on the syllabus, then they do need to,
Send a
That's
letter
the-
home in January that something changed, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, can you pull, is ours up there, not the AR, but the other one? I'm just, yeah, so one, just to share, like, looking at other districts, the last sentence, give prior consent prior to his or her student may view a film rated PG or PG-13. Like, some districts have that at PG-13. This is the same district I always pull up as an example when we're talking about these things. So I don't know if that was given as a choice when OSBA sent these out. So I'm fine with PG and PG-13 on there, but.
Well, because what are we referring to? I mean, if you're referring to the school as a whole, then I would.
Or if we say even, I guess that's my
If you're
question,
talking
should we
side
split
by
it,
side,
can we
like-
split it in here and say PG and PG-13 for elementary and PG-13 for high school? When do you turn 13?
middle
Yeah.
Age grade.
Yeah, so even if we said K-8, and then high school PG-13 or something like that. I don't know.
And so, because if we add more words in here, we're trying to avoid notification having to go home on the high school side for a PG, right? Like I'm trying to figure out the offset of it.
Yeah.
And so, then yeah, I would say you could add words. I mean, because usually we're always like, let's not add more language, but if you
Yeah.
add more, because you're trying to
Or we could,
differentiate a teacher always having to send it home
yeah,
for a PG one on this side, I get it, then.
yeah. And I guess some of it is just kind of figuring out like your guys' comfort level with that, you know, like, do you think that's the appropriate split there? And it's one of those things that like, it seems so small and we actually do it so
It does seem
rarely.
small, but I mean, each individual is so different. I mean, what I think is okay is not what she thinks is okay, or you think, I mean,
Yeah.
and it's not what my parents thought was, I mean, it might not be the same as that, so it's,
Question is also, do you put a year next to the PG
yeah.
movies after 1980?
Yeah,
or
and that's the
something
thing,
for
it was different when I
PG,
was a kid than now.
Because there's some PG ones that were prior to creation of the PG-13 that are
Gotcha,
Mhm.
yeah. And I'm fine with
nudity
PG and
There was
and
things
stuff.
back then that was like,
Maybe
oh,
it's
that's
here.
okay, but now it's not. so.
maybe it's here adding that same thing about if it's in the approved curriculum
Yeah,
and we put it on the AR and here.
yes.
And then anything, if you're picking something PG or PG-13 outside of the approved curriculum to show, you need to communicate that to families and get permission, and two,
And I think, yeah, you go ahead and keep it through, if you're gonna add the other stuff, then go ahead and keep it through 8.
Yeah.
You know, like K through 8, I don't care when they turn, like, just, cause there's just, then parents can judge on the maturity level or anything else, so.
yeah, okay.
And do they have an AR?
On theirs, that's what I was,
Because I'm wondering
They
if
do,
we do,
yeah.
they do have an AR.
yeah, but it's,
And Fairly similar, it looks like.
yeah. Yeah, okay,
Alright,
that's helpful.
Okay, so Sue's gonna do a little,
wordsmith on it.
see,
Oh, so they added yeah, I'll go to this, because they added a sentence that I don't think we have on the AR, unless I just missed it. The notification to parents or guardians for the showing of G movies at the secondary level will be at the discretion of the building
Yeah.
administrator.
yeah, we've got it.
And then whether do we include PG in that or not is the question. So we'll bring this back with,
Okay.
here's how I changed it. Okay, I appreciate it.
All right. Check the admission of exchange students. I thought
Wait, that
Oh,
one?
well.
Yeah,
that's because we split up the J's and these ones fell.
okay, so now we're
within.
on JHFA, right?
Yeah, we did 13 and 14 and 1.
Yeah, we
So-
did that one on the
Oh.
last one.
Did you go to the supervision of students?
Right down there, yeah.
Yeah, JHFA, I have checked in. Oh, I might have. Okay, whatever. Supervision of students.
This is just review.
Yeah, this is just review.
Is that second to the last line, does that mean like students as a whole, or just like a student?
Students are not to be dismissed earlier
means
than
like,
the
I'll
regular
release the whole
scheduled day
school,
without
is that what they're
permission of the
saying?
principal.
Cause then you need the principal, but when Joey's just being released early, it doesn't matter, right? Like it doesn't,
Mhm.
so we're referring to them as a whole.
I would think so.
Okay.
We could say the
Like Carly doesn't
student
say, we'll
body.
meet at 2:30.
Yeah. But the student body is not, like, they don't want there to be confusion.
Yeah.
And just comparing to the other district, they have the all students line.
With the in the first
Yeah.
paragraph.
Yeah, they don't use the board expects, it just starts with all students, but I don't think that matters. Sorry, that's my spot. They have no teacher or other staff member will leave their assigned group.
Okay.
And they have during school hours or while engaging in school-sponsored activities, students will be released only to the custody of parents. So they actually take out the
next two lines.
the early,
I mean, I don't think they're terrible.
nah, yeah,
Yeah, I think it's fine.
leave it. Cool. Yeah.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
It should, doesn't have to say parents.
I
it can say
actually think
guardian.
it needs to be guardian.
Yeah, instead of parents.
Yeah.
And then designated by the guardian. Yeah. So replace both of them, right, Nizu?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I like it.
With guardian?
Yeah, both places, yeah.
Do we need the word legal? That's what I'm running through in my head.
No, let's say guardian, because we had that discussion last month of like, sometimes that's hard to prove. Like, you don't have a piece of paper that
It's-
always says that.
For us, it's whoever's in the system that says
Yeah.
they have the thing. Yeah. Okay, guardian works.
JN, student fees, fines, and charges.
I don't have anything on that one. Nizu, do you have anything on that one? They're saying to delete, no, never mind. I was reading the next line. Okay.
I mean, in all reality, we don't.
And it's like,
Charging
it's there,
fees,
but
but-
it's not always forced. And so they're saying to delete this one, right?
This is the AR, so delete the AR, just have a policy and delete the AR.
Yeah. It's nice to have it in there, it's really hard to uphold them, so I want to have more of it.
Hold on. Nope, that's here. I'm being up. Okay.
Yeah, kind of funny that you've got, shall have these provisions, why not just, if you want these provisions, just have them in that other policy.
Exactly.
Well, and it
But
says,
some of the, like, that number 3 provision's kind of, I love it, but it's kind of weird, like you wouldn't want to include that on there.
when the policy says just outline it in the student handbook, so
Yeah.
you actually
don't really
don't want
need
this
that.
because it says right in the
Yeah, you
student
don't,
handbook.
and you don't want to make it a
Yeah.
policy.
Okay, so we'll delete KGB.
Did you say KGB?
You
Yes.
did.
Does that exist? Let's see.
No hazing.
And Denver's no huge. I'm like, well, I don't know, I feel like my kid's car got hit pretty recently, but
My kids.
yours too.
My kid's door handles got Vaseline.
An adult might have paced my student and vandalized her car.
That's
There,
I'm okay with that one. I was actually asked for permission for that. so-
shouldn't even say this one out loud, but a couple years ago, we had to talk seniors out of taking the wheels off of somebody's car
Oh,
as a
see, that's
prank, and I was like,
some
that's
fun
not,
stuff.
that's not fun. Like, for you, that's fun, for them, it is
Asked,
not.
can I put a bunch of confetti and crap in Morgan's car? And I said, yeah, maybe it'll make her clean her car.
Yes.
Please do.
Please do, yeah.
I'm all about.
Yeah.
Cocoon?
I can look that up.
Okay, check and see if we have a cocoon.
Yep, unmanned aircraft system, AKA
Okay.
drone.
KJA, KGA, KI, KJ. KGB's checking on everybody.
No kidding.
Must weigh less than 55 pounds. That's hilarious, there's a policy. I didn't know we had this policy, but we do.
What must weigh less than that?
A drone.
Oh,
Actually, when I worked at the state, I supported some math use of drones. Somewhere in Malheur, they were doing this program, and part of it was making sure they were operating within their policy and the local
wow.
airport. And so one school couldn't fly drones on their air, they had to go somewhere else, but everybody else could because it was
Because of their
like,
policy.
it was where the airport was or something. Yeah.
Okay, anyone have anything on it? Oh, but wait, there's more.
I don't know if that stuff needs.
Well, I mean, I've sent animals and they did not have rabies vaccinations. So should we worry about any of the things in 13 then? We'll enter the distance building without prior administrative, okay, that's fine. I mean, does it need to have the only one group of current rabies vaccination been provided? I mean, because once it's when you bring a dog, it's like puppies.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say that again, Nizu? Yeah, like the only, like stop after where appropriate. Okay, everyone fine with that? We'll tell them in a minute. Dogs are permitted on grounds, like, and how do we like, do we just say during school hours and then the end? Okay, so after times, it would say during school hours, Sharon?
Instead of control of the
Yeah, or
individual
yeah,
during
individual
school
during-
hours.
Yeah, during school hours.
Unless given permission by.
Yeah. Unless otherwise permitted, right? Like if you're showing a dog go catch a frisbee or something,
You said during school hours?
Yeah, unless otherwise permitted, maybe. And then,
Unless
otherwise,
other prior authorization?
yeah, exactly, whatever word sounded. And then in the first sentence of 13, when you guys were talking, we all decided after where appropriate, comma, make that a period and take out the rabies thing.
Well, so were you backing up to the approval prior? Because I think the where appropriate is
Yeah, I
goes
guess
with
you're
the
right.
baby, so.
Yeah, I would just say that. Yeah, just put the period after approval.
In 14, I just know that the school parking lot is used sometimes as like kids will park their car there to carpool somewhere else in Florence or something, or like people,
Community too.
like the community uses the, they'll meet at the school, and people leave their cars or they meet there, so, I mean, I understand the intention, and we don't want people like camping overnight or loitering, but the otherwise be present on district property after the conclusion of approved activities or otherwise posted or authorized, that's really blatant that then our parking lot shouldn't be, like people shouldn't be allowed to park there ever outside of the school hours, and I'm a little bit, like obviously we don't enforce that, so we either need to change that or enforce it.
Yeah. Mary, sorry, I'm comparing language between two, that's number 14 for us.
Yeah.
Camp. Will you tell me if it says the same thing as this? Camp, overnight, loiter, or otherwise be present on district property after the conclusion of approved activities, whereas otherwise posted or authorized by the district.
That's exactly the same sentence.
And then individuals are prohibited from entering any portion of the district premises at any other time for purposes other than those which are
Yeah.
lawful. Okay, so
Exactly
it's the same.
same.
And we're saying,
Well, I mean,
we don't want you to camp, but
Yeah.
being
that thing
there.
of like,
our
after the conclusion of
It's
approved
almost like our parking lot
activities.
is used as and it's not abused,
No,
but it is used a bit as a public parking, like a meeting space almost.
Yeah.
Or like carpooling or, go ahead, Mizu.
So,
Are we saying, oh, okay, are you
Well,
saying?
remember when we had the bus here and we put that sign and encouraged it to be at that end? I wonder if, like, it makes sense to put signage that says,
maybe except for whenever, I know my kid's gonna leave a car, like, will you please park it?
You want it in front of the
in front-
cameras.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
usually have,
I mean, I guess like it's authorized unless we tell you it's not authorized.
And that's the thing, I think you're saying it's
So,
authorized, so
okay,
yeah.
like, you could come and say, hey, you can't keep doing this.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then
and if
you're
somebody
no
was,
longer
I mean, we have had people who are not up to good things that we go
Yeah.
say you're actually not allowed
Yeah.
on campus,
And
and
that's
then they're
fine,
not.
yeah, or like
It's like-
if someone was
Yeah.
using the elementary school parking lot, they'd be like, no.
That's a
you
little too
know,
far
like
in,
they could
like-
say,
Yeah.
like where,
Over here.
where,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
all right. I don't know, I seemed a little strict.
It did in the words in the beginning, you're right, but then I guess I see where, and then it'd be your discretion of like, okay, no, you've used and abused, you're done.
Okay, all right.
Sue said this other district has 25 and we only have
Yeah.
21 of them.
So far, I found
So-
one, and I don't know if we need it, usually this means it came through OSBA for some reason, and they did theirs in 23, and it was new.
So we might compare and.
Yeah, find the other ones, one of them
compare
is
and contrast.
uproot, pick, cut, mutilate, or remove plant life or other natural resources of any kind. Roots, tubers, flowers, stems may not be collected, soil or rock may not be dug up or removed. It'd help us, now that we're doing
I think you should add
gardens.
that because of the garden.
I agree. And then that was the only one I found so far that was different, so they're all in the second half. Is there use a skateboard? I don't think I saw.
That's the start of it.
Yeah. Is
Like
there
on the
anything about-
roof or something, because they used to do a lot of cool
We
stuff on
used
something.
So,
Troy said they would
so this
do
one
some great
says,
things.
use a skateboard, rollerblade, scooter, or similar device such as, the use of such is at the user's risk. Not terrible to put there to say.
Yeah, and at your own risk, be a fool on your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you break your arm, not our fault.
Yeah.
I like that.
And then, we talked about animals, we talked about camping overnight. Use or operate any noise producing machine. Is that, it's weird.
I don't bring air ones, like,
Yeah. Come here and lower and try to clean the place up.
Yeah, that interferes with the orderly conduct of district programs or approved activities. I feel like.
Oh, so if you're being noisy while kids are in school or there's
Yeah,
a.
we'll tell you not to. I feel like that could go with the one up above about
Yeah.
authorized use, but
Yeah,
maybe somebody will prove us that we should have different language.
someone would just say knock it off.
Okay, then there's one impede.
Yeah, have that delay or otherwise interfere with the orderly conduct of the district's
Okay.
educational program.
That's there. Bring, possess, or use a weapon, I
Yeah.
assume is there. Possess, consume, sell,
Mhm.
use, distribute.
Tobacco.
Okay. Wear, possess, use,
Yep.
distribute, display, violate, posted,
Uh-huh.
and willfully violate.
Yeah.
So I don't know how, there's 4 more here, but if I missed something up above,
Well, we had skateboard,
that was
the noise
2.
thing, and the garden. Or the.
Or I guess I found 3. I might have missed one somewhere, but
Okay.
I'm not seeing it. Okay, I like, if we catch it, we'll. There's a lot of things. Okay.
Okay, that's a lot of them. Gifts to the district. These, are you good on that one? Okay.
What is this one? KH?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, something more general than the library. Maybe the school may dispose.
School, just say schools.
Yeah. Yeah, schools, yeah.
It's just people give books and you can't put them in your library. So that, yeah.
Is it
this
banning
makes-
a book if you get rid of the book? If
That's-
someone's donated it?
donated it to you. It's not, but that's the purpose for this. I will say that's not in the, yeah, the one in this district is, how different is it? It outlines, sorry, I'm comparing here, gifts which may serve to enhance or extend. It's pretty significantly different. It outlines, it will be the district's general policy to direct those who desire to make contributions to consider equipment or services that are not likely to be acquired from public fund expenditures. And then it outlines 4 different things. Tangible property contributed to the schools becomes the property of the district. It goes on from there. Contributions of property or services that may involve major costs for installation or maintenance. Needs superintendent or board approval. Any groups planning to raise money for a gift will first consult the principal. Develop guidelines for accepting gifts. Concern for, so the biggest thing, I don't know if this is in ours, so where you run into the biggest problems with gifts is Title IX, like when I was in 4J, some of the some of the booster clubs like improved the fields for a male sport, so like, or even a female sport, doesn't matter which one, but it was like baseball fields had these amazing whatever and dugouts and all this, and then softball was playing on the dirt over there. And schools were like, well, we didn't pay for that, it was a gift, and so that doesn't matter, so you actually can't, if you can't match it for the softball field, then you can't accept this gift. And so that's where this gets into the trickiest thing of why you want it to come through board and superintendent approval for large changes like that,
Or if it's like
to make sure you're thinking through those
I
things.
don't know, if it's a big art installation, there's money to like
Yeah.
create a pedestal, like how does that get installed? You know, like
Yeah.
a gift of that size is, there can be a burden to the school to
Yeah.
accept something
accept
like
something.
that,
Yeah.
you know, if it's a beautiful something.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we just take out the last two paragraphs and just say,
Yeah, maybe,
it's up
maybe
to
not
the
refer to books.
superintendent to decide if someone wants to gift us something, then superintendent
Here-
can refer to the board and
And
say.
here's how they dealt with the library thing on this one. It says, the superintendent is authorized to accept gifts to the district, and others whom they may designate will be authorized to accept gifts for particular schools on their behalf. The board welcomes gifts of books and other materials that meet the same standards of selection as those applied to the purchase of library materials.
We've got.
So that way-
Yeah, we've got that in there.
Yeah, but the like, you can get rid of it, we can take that out. Well, but then like, is there like if we're running a raffle, or a silent, what's that called? Silent auction on August whatever, is that true? We're soliciting gifts and selling.
Yeah. Well, don't mention it in here. Don't talk about that. I mean, also if it's a gift, you never know, maybe you traded another district for something, you know, I mean, and that's essentially the same sort of thing, you're still getting it good, very good, but, so do we leave the last line?
This is the most recent. Changed it since before.
Well, okay, so Mizu, I mean, I guess, yeah, I mean, it doesn't specify that, but in the very first sentence, it does says it becomes a property of the school. So if it's the property of the school, maybe you don't need the last line, maybe you don't need the,
Do they have that last line? What's their last?
In accepting gifts, there should not be a significant difference among various school facilities. I'm trying to figure out, so this district that stays on things, that it was adopted in '04 and then and then re-adopted in '23. And for us, we were '01 and '14. So my it sounds like in '23, an update to this came, like a more modern version of this came out. I think my recommendation is that we send out the language from the other one and make it say Mapleton, and then look through that one, like on the reread, make sure we like that language, next month, or, yeah, on the second read.
okay.
Cause they're saying similar things, but the language is significantly different in every line, and some of the things in here that we're talking about, do we take it out?
Okay.
Are already attended to here, so I think that's my recommendation, is let's take theirs,
Adopt
we'll
that
write
language
Mapleton
and
on
check it
it,
out.
we'll double check it on the second read, and then make sure before we approve, make sure we all like it.
Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Me too? Okay.
Side note, I told this superintendent
That-
that we do this, I can't remember if I told you guys this, and they're like, well, just so you know, we do pay for it every time to go through, like, she was saying that they do this, And I was like, well, you're getting your money's worth, or what would I say, we're getting your money's worth. Yeah, so, but she's very nice and,
Didn't mind.
yeah. And, but it was nice to know, like, they do pay for this and go through the policy analysis regularly, so
So we're
I
banking on
picked the
that.
right person to do this.
This is the right district to look
Yeah.
at. Visitors.
Oh.
Which one are we on?
KK.
Is it nothing on the same? 04 and 23, these must have got.
What do they have for like the first one? Like, I feel like that sounds welcoming and great, but then I've also heard a lot of other things, it's like.
Theirs is 2 pages, just so you know, so
Oh,
I
I don't
think
like
this
that.
one legally might have had, let me look at the bottom of what it referenced. Can you, the legal references? Let's see if those are the same. 245, 255, 025, yeah, they look pretty, there's 6 overall.
Yeah, five is 6, I guess, because there's 155
So
and
there's a
165.
327 added to this that my guess is caused some
Maybe the
changes.
bulk of it.
Yeah. Okay, so this starts with the board believes that a better understanding of its educational program and improved relationship between the schools and community can be developed through school and classroom visitation of parents and patrons. Such visitation should be encouraged, arranged, and permitted within considerations of the requirements of the educational program, the orderly administration of the school, school grounds and classrooms, and the safety and welfare of students and staff. That's very different.
Yeah.
The district is responsible for school supervision and administration to ensure that schoolwork is not disrupted and that visitors are properly directed to the areas in which they are interested. All visitors to district facilities must report to the school office upon entering the school property. And then it's got a list of like 8 things. Teachers' work must not be impeded by interruption of visitors or by unreasonable demands of their time. Visitors must not contact individual students except as authorized by the principal or teachers. When in the interest of orderly educational programs and the safety of students, it is determined by the principal that some specific visitor or visitors shall not be permitted to enter the school facilities. The principal shall do the following: advise the person and, if possible and appropriate, attempt to arrange an alternative visitation. Keeps going. A visitor with permission to visit may be directed to leave when any teacher or administrator, reasonably believes the visitor has engaged in physical violence, loud or disruptive speech or behavior, violation of posted school rules or illegal conduct. A visitor may be directed to leave by the staff member administratively in charge of the building if the visit would be disruptive to the educational program. Would impede, like, it repeats itself there. A direction to leave revokes any permission to visit or license to enter. When possible, the direction should be given in writing or followed by written notice, which identifies the issuer and gives a brief statement of the reason. Principal's office should be notified of any direction to leave. Those who insist on remaining despite a principal's request to leave or who thereby create a disruption of the carrying on of school business are subject to citizen's arrest and a report made to law enforcement. Is there anything like that up there?
No, there's
So,
not. I mean,
the
it's very
timing of
important,
this-
but, like,
There is like a law enforcement maybe call that's just like
But it
one
just
line,
says,
yeah.
that just says if you're an unauthorized person, and then it doesn't
Yeah.
talk about how you behaved.
Failure to leave will render a visitor liable for criminal
I
trespass.
mean, I think, my thought is, maybe we add some sort of line in there, or some sort of paragraph, whatever, couple sentences that lightly describes, like, they're very specific in there, and repetitive, but like, if you had one section in there that referred to whatever kind of misbehavior is gonna get you booted, you know?
Mhm.
And then, but the top one, I feel like, as much as it's saying they're allowed and welcomed, it just says, you're encouraged to come and visit at any time to observe the work of, and I feel like that's actually not allowed.
Yeah. That's opposite of all of it. It's like, get permission, set it
It's
up,
like you
schedule
have to have
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they're just allowed to come and observe students, teachers, and other employees. It just kind of seems kind of weird and overly welcoming versus like, it has to be set up. You have to make an appointment to do that. People are aware,
I don't know, I think we still theirs.
the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I don't care. A lot of words, I don't read them all, but it fully describes it, I guess, in there, but
Yeah, I was looking.
and I guess it doesn't allow for as much argument, but
I was,
I like the line of, you know, take back of any permission granted, makes me think of vampires, you know. I tell you, no, you can't be in my house now, you have to get. It doesn't work that way, though. Quit that.
you said.
Now Jamie's a bouncer.
Yeah, I do, like, if I think about policy, like, we're not gonna look this up to say, is this visitor allowed here?
Yeah.
What we're gonna look it up for is like, this person's a problem, how do I get rid of them, right? And so
And you'll have
this
everything stated in
articulates
there. Okay.
everything this way, and still has that language of like, we welcome you. Yeah, here's our expectations kind of thing. Yeah, I was trying to look up what that last law, I was guessing like if people were doing sit-ins at districts or something at that time, it felt a little specific, but I can't find that.
All right, you guys good with just,
yeah, steal it and we'll read it.
public complaints. This one was updated in 23.
Yeah, we,
Well, I think we probably have to.
we had some.
Yeah, so it might be, so it might be all right then. It's a lot of words.
That's a lot of words. So I'm always like, this is more, but I get that one being very specific.
Oh, sorry, I finally found it. The law that was added, notification required if person possesses threatening list or when threats of violence or harm is made, immunity. So like some new law went into place that did this, I think we should definitely take theirs.
Okay.
Do you want to review this one, or are you pretty good with having it done in 23 there?
I'm pretty good with that.
What is
It's
the?
not even 2 years ago,
Public complaints.
because I think we have enough of them that we revisited that.
Yeah, I thought that was on one of our,
Required things. something.
Are you fine with public complaints, Mizu? It looks like it's.
I think this is a
touched
review
on.
law. Yep, and it matches the one on the other district.
Okay.
The
Appeal to the deputy superintendent of public instruction.
AR for it. This was done last year, near the end of last year, so that's probably been updated.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that's good. You guys good with that one?
Yeah.
And AR2.
Someone's done 18.
This is
Let's get to this one. was-
Kate and the,
Oh, this one's the appeal to the deputy superintendent, so this one was in 18. So instances when someone could appeal to the deputy superintendent of public instruction.
it's probably written by the state.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that was the KL?
KL
When's
AR2.
the last time we did that one?
18.
There's, I had it open again though. Wait, something's off.
That's,
Their KLAR is just the public complaint form.
which that was what our other one
Yeah, our
was.
KLAR, and then there's a KLAR2 that's,
This is, yeah, this is like.
So this is
escalation
cheap,
map.
it's just listed, we were here.
if they want to.
Oh, to add to, okay.
This is the appeal after they, I've been there.
That's embedded in their public complaint one. They don't
Oh, they-
have that as a separate AR.
Just the escalation, the appeal.
And it's only in the, like the form, let me see how they, it just says, well, it does say CKLAR2. I wonder if they have it in just at the bottom of it, or they don't have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can keep it. I think we're fine.
Tell them they need to add on.
That's what I'm
KLAR2.
gonna, that's what I'm trying to see. I'll get her money's worth. Yeah, I'll tell her we got that, so.
KNAR, investigations conducted on district premises.
We did this one in 19.
Done in 19.
It's like cross-coded to something else, but. There's a 1 and a 2 for this one for us too.
Yeah.
Did we move to the next one?
Yeah, I caught a mistake for that district, so
Oh.
it references something that doesn't exist, so I'll call
Okay.
her. And then, yeah, they have both of these, updated in 23, but not 18. Does it have a list of like 1 through 10?
1 through 10,
It's really
yeah.
similar, and then questions.
Yeah,
With one
question of the student.
through 3, this looks exactly the same. Abuse of child investigation, administrator initiated requests.
Yeah. That's it.
Yep, that's exactly the same.
So this is saying that it's allowed with administrator approval.
Request to interview a student or to conduct an investigation by law. Yeah.
Who's an investigator, okay. Okay.
And the administrator will try to notify the student's parents prior to granting the interview.
Okay.
Yeah, and then an administrator is present at all times during the interview unless the student's parent is present and asks them not to be. So, actually so, I've never had a kid tell me, no, I'm thinking every district I've been in, but I've never had a kid tell me they didn't want me in there, but I've always asked it as a question, like I've offered it, but this is saying that we have to be,
Oh, okay.
so.
I mean, I would think
Yeah, that's
it
good.
should be, I know we've done that and we just
Yeah.
make sure someone's, I mean, we never ask, we just sit in there.
In there, yeah, I've never had somebody tell me no, but I've
Yeah,
always
but
posted it
you've
as a
always-
question, so
yeah.
now I can change
No, you
that
don't
too.
have to.
Actually, by policy, I
I'm
have to
just
be in
gonna
here
sit
with you.
here.
Yeah, exactly, so, okay, that's good for me.
Even if a parent's in it?
It says unless a parent
Unless a parent-
says,
okay.
is present and says not to, yeah.
Yes, you're right, me too.
Yeah, and it's throughout the whole document, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit of control F for you, Jaren.
Yeah.
Okay.
Two left.
There was something in here that said not for child, sorry,
The first,
yeah, not based on allegations of abuse of a child. So that's the one part where we don't call a parent, is.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
exactly.
that actually clarifies
I
it
did
there.
think about that before we got to this one, if it
Yeah.
was gonna refer to that, but,
Yeah.
okay.
And
Public charter schools,
we made it through K.
and I did get that thing, that email, and I'll send it to you. That thing I talked
Oh,
about.
yeah.
Cause it's all federal,
Okay.
but it might be more pertaining
Oh,
to,
this is the
like,
AR.
religious-based
and-
ones, you know,
It's not that part. Oh, this is AR2,
yeah.
KNAR2.
Yeah, and they had that in it. I think I compared them already.
Yeah,
Which would make sense, if they weren't gonna be federally funded, but.
just a, yeah, sheet to go with it, that seems.
Yeah, to document. Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Public charter schools. Which we just re-adopted in February, actually,
Oh,
so.
we did.
I am good.
Oh, yes, we did. I'm gonna think about it.
I think it was on the update list in 20, when did you say we did it?
January. February.
Oh, yeah, we're more
Okay.
current than them, we're good.
All right, that's fine.
Good on that.
Last one, residents, students,
Yeah.
style.
I'm glad this is the last one, I'm getting a headache.
This was from 16.
This is just basically what all districts run on. I mean,
You said what year?
16.
oh, was it 6? I got 17, yeah.
This is 21 and 23, but it doesn't mean anything changed. Or 5.
Yeah.
It's really similar number of students. Yeah, I think this is the actual law. Parent may appeal. There is a thing, Mizo, on the bottom of, is it on the R's, that what parent means?
Yeah.
There's a
Oh,
parenthesis that says, or I forgot what that's called, but parent means parent, legal guardian, or person in parental relationship as defined in ORS.
Huh.
I think we've seen a couple examples of that where they were trying to do that at some point, but it didn't make it through all of the documents.
that's a
so,
good thing to fall back on.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's not on every policy, so I think changing it where it's not, or adding this in, could be another way to do it. Yeah, search for, it's, if you don't know where to put it, it's kind of like, anytime you find one that says parent, put this on the bottom of it.
That's a great idea. Or somewhere in the beginning or something.
Yeah, that's what, there's not really, because you don't have a
Oopsie.
book. Like if you
Yeah,
if we
that'd be
still had the
nice.
old board book, then you put that in definitions at the beginning, but like,
I just don't think everything's in a book.
yeah.
I think everything's in a book.
I think phone book.
Yeah,
I like the phone book.
At the school, there's a.
You know, it had a lot of uses too.
It did, you could write on it,
Yeah,
put your paper on it and write on it.
Yeah, it was definitely a hard surface, a booster seat,
I liked
you
it.
know, and a
Yeah.
little bit.
All right, that's first
Back up
reading.
stool.
Oh, any chance they put it, oh, this is,
We did it.
there's not, yeah, we did do it.
Come on.
No,
Oh, and is this all of them?
that's the end.
Because then it's only second reads in June,
Yes.
how many times?
Yes.
And you guys were smart to say, then we don't have to do,
You
as I
want to come
said,
back to them.
We were gonna split
Well-
this into 3 and do a second read in August, and Mary and Andrea very smartly said, just get it done, we don't wanna start August with that.
So we'll just start August with the ones that just came out last month.
Is there like just a couple?
Is it a lot, or, I haven't seen them, I don't think I'm getting those emails.
I don't know,
You're getting them, great.
do I have, I don't know, I don't want to look.
Yeah. Well, we won't do any in August, we'll do them in, no earlier than September.
Okay, thanks.
Is that fair? We get a month off.
August might be a little light one, huh?
Yeah. Well, it always has all those like list of things you have
Is
to
it?
do,
Oh, it
yeah, all of
does.
them, so, yeah, cool.
Okay,
All right.
good. So,
So,
8-3, we don't have to do anything, do we? Or is this just a first reading?
yeah, you're good.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
8-3, the one, another one, and then another one. Okay.
So, resignation, Kent, is the letter in?
Yeah, it's in there.
Okay,
In the
and
packet.
then,
Here's, oh, and Sue forwarded it to you guys?
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's up there, so resignation, for elementary principal, we are bummed that his life circumstances, like, I think I've shared this with people, but our husband was unable to get work out here with changing dynamics at higher ed. So, that position is posted. We have a
Yeah,
wealth
few
of applications, yeah. So, Friday, I'm gonna go through and screen those and start moving forward, so, but we have, yeah, a nice set of applicants, so it's cool.
Good.
Oh, and Kyle, and hiring of Kyle Carver, so hired him as a currently, well, yes, so as a maintenance and bus driver, train him as a bus driver, so he's, yeah.
Good.
Stepped in chaperone prom.
Oh, did?
Yeah.
Nice.
Been helping Randy fix up the middle school building, the holes that we have in the walls there and stuff, so been finding stuff for him to do.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve the 2 resignations and a hiring.
Who's Kent Slater?
Right,
Oh,
he's the,
Minivan to
Mini-
To
Florence.
say loss,
And-
picks up, and takes her down.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
and we'll post that sometime soon, we'll post that
Yeah,
for next year.
Is that, that situation goes for another year?
We have,
Or do you have more now, right, in multiples?
well, he drives EC Cares too.
Oh, okay.
So there's 2, EC Cares is a new group each year, and then we have 2 placements out there that go 1 or 2 more years, something in there, 1 or 2 more years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I move that we approve the 2 resignations and the hiring of Kyle.
Okay, all those in favor? Mizu? Okay. Discussion items, charter.
Yeah, for charter school, I think the more, I think I said this last month, but the more we've learned, the more we've figured out all the rules we thought you had to be a charter for. You don't, people just think that. And so specifically the one that started conversation about transportation to support enrollment. So you can, I just saw my head, I was like, why are my hands going? That's because I'm moving them. Okay. So that's the main one. And then really I think where the difference is the staffing. So there's a charter registry that does not require the same level of certification and as not having that. And I have learned about some potential routes that help with certification for folks that maybe wouldn't typically qualify. I'm still learning those though, so I don't have anything full to report on that, but a possible apprenticeship program through Bureau of Labor and Industry. But really that's, the more we've learned and unpacked, the difference right now between charter status and not is some flexibility with certification for staffing. And for us, where that would help is like supporting specials and or project-based learning areas. If somebody has a construction background and wants to come in and help support the construction group, but they're not certified, there is an avenue through career and technical education, but a charter registry makes it easier. You just get on there. And then I'd say also for supporting at the elementary level specials like performing arts, right? If somebody wasn't a certified teacher but had a background in supporting performing arts, at a charter you can do that really easily and have them lead that group, and a not charter, it's a little harder to set that. So that's really the difference we're finding. I do think a conversation that is worth having for us is transportation. Right, we can run a bus to any region, right? We could run a bus to McKenzie if we wanted. We're not going to do that. But does it make sense to explore running a bus route to either Florence or some, further upriver or further down 126 in order to increase the capacity of and the opportunity for kids to come to our district? And so,
Yeah, and do you have to say that do you have to specify like the region you would drive to, or do you see who comes first? Like,
I think you could go either direction on that, if I'm understanding the question. Or like
yeah, like do
we
wait
say,
to
wow,
see
we
who
have kids out
appears?
there, let's
Yeah.
just start renting a bus and see who else jumps on it?
Mhm.
Or do we say, hey, we're thinking about running a bus further, would you ride it, kind of thing? And I
Yeah.
think both of those are allowable, so,
Okay.
yeah. Yes. Yes. Because they can eventually say no, but I think that percentage is higher than the number of students who would fit on a bus. Does that make sense?
Here.
Okay.
Need one. Well, it's on the floor, but
Just wanted to throw that
you
in.
want
It was I just had to find where I put it.
Can
Yeah.
they say no at any number though, or did it?
No,
is it
I think it's
just
a percentage. Let me
I
double
was
check
thinking it
this.
was a percentage, but I think I was thinking of that virtual charter percentage. And so on inter districts, I don't know if there is, it's just a matter of they have to approve it though, and so they could,
potentially not?
yeah.
Right.
Okay. So then that would be the difference with a charter is now there's no IDT limit and you are that. Okay. Yep, I'll get clarification on this specifically, so. Yeah. Trying to think any other, that's really, I think, the discussion for tonight, like just
Yeah.
sharing that information.
Okay. Facilities, that's mostly over there, right? Like doing
Yeah,
the floor
we're-
next week and.
We're moving, yeah, and then just to name, we're still working to figure out if we're gonna have stage access, how easily we'll have stage access and whether we're gonna move stuff off the stage for graduation or do it. We have a proposal for if it's on the floor, we have a proposal for just moving it to the weight room, but figuring out if we need to do that or if we wait for flooring over here, so. That's really the only thing.
I hope it's on the stage.
Is it on the stage?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think it's just, well, I mean, I guess the one big thing too is, like I said, then you do take away seating, and we are a very welcoming,
I did ask that
open
question.
graduation.
In the setup that they brought me, I said, does this lose any seating that we had before? And we've always left that big
Yeah, the
opening
gap in the
because
front.
of the risers, so they actually, the drawing they gave me today, yesterday, anyway, sometime, did not lose any seating there.
Okay.
I did ask that specifically.
What was this for? Sorry.
Graduation.
I know.
So, so because we're not in the middle school, we moved stuff to every place on campus, but we actually have like
A bunch of stuff on stage.
the stage, yeah, desks and the, like, not, like, we have people working in that space, and so moving all of that out. Okay, I mean, they work everywhere, but they have their spot there, and then we also have like, I call it, yeah, storage, I call it Lou's mess, like the engineering projects
Far up there.
and,
Yeah.
and the materials to do engineering projects, so sometimes it just looks like a pile of trash, I'm like, no, that's not a pile of trash, that's a science
Yeah.
teacher. It's like,
Yeah,
there's
book sets and fifth night or whatever.
15th night.
Clothes and stuff.
Yeah, so we did a good job filling every space we could find, including there, so.
What about a portable stage? Like.
Well, if you used a portable stage, you really would lose space, so,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
not necessarily, if it's just the 10 feet. I mean, they're not huge.
Yeah.
It would just be putting the stage in front of and then you move the seating back. And then it would just bring it back to the.
Yeah, because we've left a pretty big gap there.
there.
I think my thing with the floor is just,
Looking at it, watching
You're-
it, you're not.
yeah, like, so the drawing has the podium here. The kids wanted to sit kind of this way, so they helped create that, or a couple of them helped create this, but they wanted kind of looking not this way, thank you. And then the speakers or whoever are over here. And I feel like they're at ground level.
like,
And
yeah.
they didn't want to be in the middle. So that it was interesting, like on the stage, they're in the middle, they're the center of attention.
Yeah.
In this drawing, that wasn't the arrangement that they came up with, but
Do we have
We'll figure
risers
it
or
out.
anything?
not,
Because I,
yeah.
sorry, not having levels is tacky.
That's how so right now I feel like the best solution is the stage, and we have enough people to help move it. It's
Yeah.
just I don't wanna move it twice if we don't have to. So like, I don't wanna move it into the weight room and then to the middle school. If we can get one room of flooring done
Yeah.
and just move it straight
If
there.
like, say by
and do it
Wednesday or
once.
something of next week, then it's
Yeah,
like.
so that's why
move
I'm
it.
not, like,
Okay.
that's why I haven't said yes, definitely,
It's
but
like either,
if,
yeah.
I think we can fit the stuff there into the weight room, but I said, have a backup plan just in case something comes up and we can't access the stage, but I still think the stage is gonna be possible,
Okay.
so.
Okay. And so, yeah, then flooring, and then you're getting your bids for the other stuff, and,
Yeah, we're moving on things, slowly but surely.
anything, Meezer? Okay. Athletic participation.
So at one point, this went off and then came back on. So an idea was proposed where I was like, you know what, let me bring this back up so I can bring it to the board, but we had talked about when students quit a sport, like how do we encourage them not to quit a sport, especially when it means us not being able to field a team and those kind of things, and getting that kind of buy-in up front. And fees are tough to enforce those kind of things, but the proposal is, what if there's no fee, but if you quit a sport mid-season, in order to play another sport, there's a fee. So like, now we can't count on you to be part of that team without some buy-in there. And then even if they finish a season, you can have the money back or just forward it to the next season, whatever makes sense there, but that, like, quitting mid-season actually has some impact of like, okay, but if you're gonna come back out for this sport in the future or do
We need to see the
the
commitment.
next season thing, there is gonna be a cost up front so that we can ensure that we have the numbers kind of thing. So I didn't hate that,
I'm not opposed to it.
yeah, and wanted to bring that idea back. So I think we're still at this spot, we are trying like heck to make sure football happens, and that's the one for us that like, and I think we have the right person to lead it. Like, I think we've set up all the conditions, but we need kids to stick it out even when it's hard the first couple of years, because like we haven't had a team. We're, you know, you're less likely to win, we're gonna be young, we're gonna, those kind of things, like, we want them to fight through those hard things and not lose a season because it gets hard.
I was gonna tell you too, Stanislaus, or like Florence is doing a flag football team for young kids. So they're starting that back up again, so I think that would
It's a
help.
good way to get kids thinking about it.
Because I mean, these kids, you know, here it's like, they haven't played. It probably is a scary sport to play, you know, and haven't done it, so.
At least get some
Parents
skills
has
for it.
done flag football the past few years, and
Yep.
I wouldn't mind sending him to Elmira and do the tackle thing, you know, at his age even.
Yeah.
But, so I think
Yeah.
just getting the younger kids now to
Like more.
get
Yep.
them. The younger kids.
I mean, I'm not opposed to that idea of the fee thing. I don't know what anyone else thinks.
And
What's the fee?
yeah, I mean, that's,
Yeah.
and I don't know that we have to set that tonight, based on the policy we just did. In August, we need to set all those fees and communicate them, so we can think about that and set the fee in August and communicate that out. If we think we're gonna move that direction, I'd like to be able to give kids a heads up that be thinking about, you know, those kind of things, but telling them in August, you're all in, you don't, you know, but we can use that a little bit now to say, cause they're bought in right now, they're saying yes to these things, but I think if we say it now and kind of see
Would
that.
you, especially because once we meet in June, it's done, like you don't see them as often, right? Like, is that
There'll be some
something-
summer
Yeah.
sports and stuff, yeah, I, like, really where this, Carrie does check-ins, feels like daily with kids, and, you know, making sure their grades are up because they wanna play football next year and those kind of things, for not needing a hardship, and she's been on this group, and I think if we thought we were gonna move this direction, I could tell her now that, you know, we'll still decide the specifics about cost and those things.
So what, is it helpful for you to leave the meeting tonight knowing that we would support that so that she can start?
Yeah, saying it's
Right?
a, yeah, she doesn't need to say it with things, but like, hey, like, commitment
This
matters.
is
Yeah.
probably what would
Yeah.
happen, yeah, okay. So is everyone comfortable saying that she can move with that and we can decide specifics?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it.
Gabby, yeah, Mizio? Okay.
Okay, cool. And then, can we put a reminder somewhere that in August, that's a fee we need to
Yeah, discuss.
make sure is there?
We might need to discuss it in June, because
Yeah.
fall sports often start in
before that.
August.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
We don't meet until the third,
Yeah,
Wednesday.
okay,
So we probably
So
need
there's
to set the
commitment.
fee,
Yeah,
we
okay.
need to set the fee in June since we don't meet July, and then, communicate that out in the summer.
okay,
True.
perfect. So I think we'll actually put that as an action item
Okay.
and maybe come up with
And then is it like, so they quit football, and now they wanna play basketball, and so they go out and they pay whatever amount, let's just say 100 because it's an easement number. And then is that a deposit they get back if they completed, or is that done? Like they paid it because they failed?
I think we should encourage growth. So, but my thing is, I think if they complete that season,
If they complete basketball.
maybe
The second
they
season, yeah.
use that money for the next sport. Does that make sense? Like for the next season, they don't necessarily get it back, but it
It can go.
goes
But so
to
now are they
each
like-
season.
So now are they just like, they're permanently being charged the
I don't-
fee, in a sense, they're just carrying it over, like now I'm doing track, so okay, well,
Yeah.
you're gonna do that.
My issue is more, like, from season to season, I think matters, but like, if you quit football and then say you're coming out the next year, that's where I actually wanna hold you, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're less likely to finish that season
Yeah.
than maybe the ones that you have finished before.
Mhm.
So I don't have a great way to, I don't
Well,
know
so
if
maybe it
it's-
has to be like,
One
now
whole-
once you
one whole
play
year.
again,
Yeah.
then it could be, like, you know, is that what you mean? Like,
Yeah,
okay, so
it's
they.
one full calendar year through that
Through
sports
that
season.
sports season.
And then if you complete all those, anything you sign up for, you complete it, you get the money back.
Yeah,
Like,
and maybe
we're
you didn't
not-
play any other sport, but you came for football the next year, you played,
Yeah.
you paid the
Yep.
$100
And you get that
and you
money
complete
back.
it, then you get, okay.
I like
I
that.
kinda like
Okay,
that.
I do too.
Okay. Yeah, cause then we keep getting.
I don't know how to write
those-
that up, but that sounds great.
Yeah.
Carrie will write it up,
Because
but
we also
I
don't
know how to
want them
explain
like
it.
perpetually, like a freshman perpetually
For
paying
4
$100
years.
all
Yeah,
in
yeah,
this
yeah.
for, I mean, just
Yeah.
use
Yeah.
$100 till the senior, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
So I think it's a good idea to carry it over.
okay.
Yeah, me too. Good question.
That's a great question.
I think, well,
I think middle school up,
Yeah.
because
It costs us money for middle school too,
Yeah.
and we
Pay
want
a lot more.
numbers
you
out
might as well
there,
nip it
yeah,
in the bud now.
yeah.
and the other ones are usually taken care of and funded other ways, you know, if they're playing TSB or whatever else, so.
Yeah.
That was a good question, Lisa.
Does that work? Yeah, okay, yeah, great question. So I'll say middle school, high school, one full year inclusive of the sport that you quit.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm like a clause if you get hurt, like.
Yeah, I mean, and
Oh,
quitting
true.
is different than that, right? Like,
Mhm.
I think, yeah, we'll make sure that's clear, but this is kids who said they're coming out and they just didn't
Other
stick
than
with
an
it
injury,
for a million reasons, they don't stick with it.
Yeah.
And I even think,
You can say like,
Some-
other than injury and at the coaches, or
The
not the
discretion.
coaches, at
yeah,
discretion.
I'm gonna say athletic director's
Yeah.
discretion, because there are some kids that were like, go try it for 2 weeks, no
Yeah.
harm, no foul, if you don't stick with it, da-da-da, you know, we're not gonna charge a kid who we tell to do that and then
Yeah.
leaves.
Mhm.
But when we talk to you all spring about, hey, if you're saying yes to us, it's because we're trying to see if we're hiring a coach and those kind of things, like, we're gonna count you in
Yeah.
at
Well, and all the things that come
this,
with it.
yeah. Cool.
Okay. No other public comment, Jaren? Oh, wait, stay testing, but I don't think we have anything, do we?
I have a meeting with them on the 28th.
Okay.
I may be somewhere within a day or two of that,
Okay.
so.
No other public comment, Jaren?
No.
Comments from the board?
Did you get any feedback? I didn't get anything on prom. Usually, I mean, you probably would have said that in the high school.
Oh, yeah, I should have
But-
updated it. Prom was awesome. Yeah, it was beautiful setup, and that location, man, if we can get back there, it is a perfect setup for
Well,
a
cause
prom.
is it because you got that upgrade?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, we were, I don't know what the other room we were supposed to get is, but I think it was kind of just a big room with, you know, used for events. But there, whoever was gonna be in the upstairs with like the 3 rooms over above the, where you eat, there was an accessibility issue, so they called us and apologized and said we need to trade you. It was a total upgrade, and they, like, because of that, they gave us food too. Like, it was, we got a good deal. It was perfect. I mean, and from chaperoning, there's only one exit.
Nice.
So you get to just hang out and be present instead of like watching everybody. And it got warm, like everybody's dancing around and it's full. And so kids would be like, can I go outside with you? And I'm like, so I ended up just standing outside talking to kids all night, staying warm. That was my job. That was great too. But and then there's like the 3 rooms off of there, or 2, maybe it's 2 in a lobby. And you can kind of move around and kids can find different levels of like how loud and intense they were being dancing versus, and
Always, 100% always.
yeah, well, so you would have been in the left, you would have been in the left room. So, and then there were some quieter areas, and I will, like, every year I have a favorite memory of a dance, and last year it was, the kids were just so chill and ended up playing, like a large group of them played Uno with Garrett all night, and Garrett's wife, and it was like, not the prom I imagined. This one, I'm gonna use his name just because it's awesome, but Caden Goots danced to We Dance at that level for 4 hours.
Oh my
I've
goodness.
never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
And he's phenomenal at it and
Gotta work
never
out,
stopped. Never stopped. Every time I was up there, I was like, he's still going.
You didn't take advantage of that food you had, huh?
I don't think he ate. I mean, I was outside for quite a bit, but by all accounts, he danced the entire time.
Wow.
So and the cool thing, it was like he was going the whole time, but other kids came in and danced with him, and so like it was a thing, but it was Caden's thing. So anyway, awesome. Rosie, we provided a bus out for anybody who needed it. And back. And Rosie took kids out there early and did pictures on the beach for them, and like there's just all these pieces to it that it was great. So yeah, awesome.
Thank you for that update. I got the 17-year-old boy,
Yeah.
like, yeah, so I'm like, okay, but how was it?
Yeah, it's great. It's cool.
And he mostly talked about like after.
Yeah, and you know, kids, but I will say, kids across the board, kids stayed there longer. Like our early leavers still were our early leavers, but they stayed longer than when it's local. And we didn't have any of the like, oh, we're gonna go wander up through the neighborhood and then come back. Some of our kids who do that stayed the entire time and had a blast.
It is nice to have an actual destination.
Yeah,
It kind of requires that commitment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I
I
will
love
help
that it
invest
was
in
a
that
size
next year.
appropriate
It was
destination.
perfect.
That's really,
Yeah.
that's a key piece.
And that room's not cheap, but now that we've done it, we had a former graduate, you know, a couple years older, he came up to me and he goes, yeah, Sue, now that we've been here, you don't get to do school dances, do you? I said, or you don't get to do dances after school anymore, do you? And I was like, I think you're right. So
Yeah.
it was great.
So we had art at the Elks Lodge one time.
Elks Lodge.
That was so good.
At the Florence House?
Yes, and I fell off the stage.
That's right, that's
Yes, because they have the stage, well, then they wanted to make the stage bigger, so they put big speakers in front of the stage, so they're the same. But then they put a sheet over it to make it look like a full
stage.
Well, then like the speaker got moved and I was dancing on the stage and then all of a sudden just went down in this gap.
Just like an ankle.
Yeah, and I had done like this like mud run that day, like before, and so I was like already super, yeah. And then everybody, like,
think there's any
like the
video
music
footage of
literally
that?
stopped, but I mean, it was like a movie, like the music
Like
stopped,
Spirit
but I, yeah.
Feel like
Yeah.
you're watching
And I
a
was like,
teen movie or something.
Yeah. Oh my god, and then everybody just started again. I think I need to go sit
I wish
down.
people had their phones going then.
Yeah,
And nobody, yeah, not.
I forgot, so I was standing outside and there was some people walking by and somebody had to use the bathroom. They're like, I don't think I can go in there. And I was like, you come here, I'll let you in. And I got talking to a teacher, 5th grade teacher in Springfield, whose mother-in-law graduated from Mapleton.
Oh.
Is a Milbrit, but not your version of Milbrit. Like, you know how there's multiple strands?
Yeah, it would just be like, like my husband's mom's cousins or something.
That's, and we got chatting out there and she was saying, so there was some sort of, whatever their event was like a memorial service or something, and she's like, they were so respectful all day of like doing their thing, but every time they'd see us, they'd be really quiet and move around, and so good feedback from there too.
That's
So,
nice.
Yeah, I forgot about
Good.
that.
Yay.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, thanks for asking. So, and middle school dance Friday. I'm not chaperoning now.
I am not here.
Hopefully somebody is. I actually don't know who is, but somebody is. So, cool.
Okay, and then, it just kind of reminded me of when the June meeting is. Okay.
Is that the one?
Oh, is that the one we usually do in Denver?
Yeah, we do, but I was worried about our dates, but we're here, is the 18th. Cause I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
ooh, are we
We're
gone?
going.
But we're here.
Okay.
That just popped in my head, but June starts early enough that
When is it though?
the 18th.
Oh, boy.
And we do usually go to Deadwood.
Yeah.
Um,
Mizu, would you be willing to reach out and make sure we can use the community center that night? Thanks. Yeah, I'll be here.
Okay.
I'm updating the public calendar now to say at Deadwood Community Center.
Do you guys have
So,
stuff then, Abby?
Mizu, if that doesn't work for any reason, just let me know and I'll, remind me to undo the calendar.
Yeah.
With, I don't know what,
Thanks.
what practice will be. and
Yeah,
everything, so
exactly.
I think Kevin can be home.
Okay.
But I'll try. Might be able to send it to somebody. I know Dexter does. Also, so. Send it with Dexter.
So you guys gotta move to adjourn the meeting.
Everybody's staring at each other.
You want a second that?
Second.
Okay, cool. We're gonna do it. Mizu, say yes. Yeah.
8:36. Oh, yes, thank you.
Good job to you for like
Jared deserves that.
sitting through your whole drive doing